Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
I think he's got a coach
Shot by Sherrill.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
And welcome into Robby and Rexrode Halloween edition. Happy Halloween, everyone. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Tuesday morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Joe Rexrode, happy Halloween. How are you?
Happy Halloween, but if you're going to play some Michael Jackson, I would prefer to you allow me to sing my Billie Jean song, you know?
Yes.
Same album. Great album.
You'll have your chance.
Are you guys familiar with like this album?
No.
No?
No.
Thriller. I mean, go look at.
I mean, I've obviously heard of it. But
yeah, look it up and read the tracks. It's maybe the pop album, maybe the best pop album ever. How am I doing? Did you ask me how I'm doing?
I did.
Well, you know what? I'm frustrated because I needed Devontae Adams to have a big night to beat Nick Keyser in fantasy football.
Yeah.
And I'm watching a 98-yard touchdown pass. Oh, that didn't happen. I'm watching a 60-yard touchdown pass. Oh, that didn't happen because apparently Jimmy Garoppolo is the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL.
I don't,
He is
for the
trash.
life of me, understand it. Like, why you're not targeting Devontae Adams, like especially in that offense.
Well, he tried. He's
21
thrown into the
times.
third row.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable to me. And Devontae Adams is like slamming his helmet over on the sideline.
I don't blame him.
He's mad.
He is going to be begging them today, please.
Find me somewhere.
Send me anywhere, but it doesn't sound like it's going to happen.
Well, maybe don't leave Aaron Rodgers, go play with Derek Carr, and you won't run into these type of situations.
There you go. See, yep, karma. Okay, Packers karma. Also, just real quick, since we're talking fantasy football, I can bring this up. You know that also screwed me over with the Raiders because I picked them against the Lions.
You did.
4-2 with my lock, 5-1 with your lock, 5-1 with your lock.
It's a good
the
week.
show goes 14-4. I think we're starting to become the place to go for bettors.
Yeah, it's a pretty good
In the
football
mid-state.
weekend for the Robby and Rexrode program. So keep that in mind on Fridays at 8:30 for Pigskin Pick.
Yeah.
Might want to be paying attention.
Get that mortgage
Professionals.
check ready.
Yeah, professionals
That's
over
right.
here. We got a lot to get to on the program here today. It is Halloween. It is also NFL trade deadline day today, so we'll get to a lot of things deadline related as that relates to the Tennessee Titans. Caroline Fenton will join us at 7 o'clock. We'll get into a little bit of Will Levis, a little bit of college football with her as well. And Diana Rossini from The Athletic will join us at 7:30. So looking forward to that. Diana, very plugged into the Tennessee Titans, so looking forward to any thoughts she might have about the deadline coming up later today in the NFL. We'll take your thoughts all show long. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Mike Vrabel addressing the media yesterday. It's a short week for the Titans. They get the win against Atlanta. And now, as Vrabel said yesterday was basically their Thursday as they're preparing for literal Thursday night football against the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up later this week. It was interesting. Yeah, he did confirm yesterday that, if Ryan Tannehill can't go on Thursday, that they're going to go with Will Levis. So the going with Will Levis part, not a big surprise. It was interesting the way that he phrased if Tannehill can't go on Thursday, they're going to go with Will Levis. Which then, Joe, eventually led to the natural follow-up question to Vrabel, which is, okay, so if Ryan Tannehill is healthy, is he the starter? Is Will Levis the starter? What does that look like? Here's what Vrabel had to say on that front yesterday.
So if Ryan's healthy, he's the starter. Ryan is healthy. If Ryan's healthy, he's the guy still. Is that still the case even after Will's performance here over the weekend?
Until Ryan's healthy, I don't think that, I'm ready to, make a determination. I think that's something that could be a possibility. But again, we're talking about hypotheticals, and we'll get Ryan healthy and see where things are at then.
So that was Vrabel yesterday, kind of leaving the door open there as it relates to the Tannehill-Levis conversation about the starting quarterback and what happens once Ryan Tannehill is healthy. What do you think of what Vrabel had to say there?
Yeah, I think that's notable that he didn't say Ryan's starter if Ryan's healthy. You know? I didn't at all expect him to say, no, Will's a starter.
No.
Will's the guy. But I thought if you had me bet on something he'd say, it would maybe not be even leave it open that maybe Will could just take the job. And he did. He left it open. So, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of non-committal, but also I think it leaves it a little bit open to the idea that, that maybe they're just going to go with the young guy. And some things will help clear that up. One, what are we looking at here? 9 hours? 9 hours left?
Yep.
Till that trades can be made. Albert Breer talking about Danico Autry and talking about somebody else. Oh, Tier Tart. So, I mean, if you further weaken this team, and especially like it's on the defensive side of the ball, that to me makes it even more likely that you keep going with the young guy, whether you're winning or losing. So I found that significant. That's about as much as you're going to get in terms of what they're thinking internally. Makes me think that there's a real, I'd say, pretty strong chance that Ryan Tannehill's done quarterback in the Tennessee Titans.
Cody on the text line says, can we trade Traylon Burks for Devontae Adams?
It's worth a shot. I mean, well, how do you not make the call, right?
I know, right?
Like, there's no way. Yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That is true. No, I'm with you. I found that notable yesterday. Look, I think with a lot of the fan base, especially after what we saw on Sunday, it's like, well, yeah, Will Levis is the starter as they move on from here on out. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I do think the decision is interesting from Vrabel and the Titans once Tannehill is healthy, and assuming that Tannehill gets through the deadline today and he's still a member of the Tennessee Titans, what happens when Tannehill's ankle is healed up? Presumably, maybe we'll see after the Steelers game as they prepare for Tampa Bay next week. Is that a decision that Vrabel really wrestles with? Like, is he committed in his mind to, well, Ryan Tannehill was the quarterback before he got hurt, he'll be the quarterback after? Is he already committed to, based on the way that things have kind of played out here, that he's going with Levis? Like, how much of a decision is this going to be for Vrabel and his coaching staff once that happens and Tannehill is healthy at that point? It's going to be really interesting to see. And how much does a result like Thursday matter in that discussion?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that could move it, either way, including results on the field. Again, including, does this end up 9 hours from now? Okay, so the Titans basically moved one guy, and one guy who it was going to be over after this year. They got helped their draft cap a little bit, but they're committed to winning. So then again, it's like that whole, okay, what are the results and what's the performance? If the performance doesn't match the results in terms of winning with bad quarterback play, well, then I think at some point you could look at it. I mean, you have to be able to keep yourself open to the possibility, I think. I know some people will say, like, you just can't do it. You cannot go back to the old quarterback. You've gone here, but you can.
But Vrabel can.
Yeah. You can. But it's just, like, to me, it would have to be that very remote combination of factors, which aren't likely. I mean, it's just not likely they're going to win, and then Levis isn't playing well.
Well, and then, like, also, a lot of this is up to Levis, I think, right? I mean, if Levis comes out there on Thursday, and again, maybe it's not as good and as eye-popping as it was on Sunday against the Falcons, but if he leads them to a win out there, or if he goes out there and plays really well, even in a loss, like, at that point, I don't know how you then just put him back on the bench and say, all right, we'll see you next year when Tannehill's gone. Like, if he proves to you that he can play right now and that he's making plays in the offense and that he's taking some deep shots down the field and they're having some relatively good success offensively, well, at that point, I mean, number one, you can make an argument, does he give you a better chance to win than Tannehill? And number two, even if you feel like that's even or maybe Tannehill's slightly better than him at this point, and how much value is there in letting Will Levis play the rest of the year based on watching him get in there and knowing that he's at least shown signs that he can handle it and handle it pretty effectively to this point?
Yeah, unless you buy into the concern that you're going to ruin him.
Yeah.
I don't think the other day, ruined him at all. I don't think there's any ruining that happened. Now,
Didn't look like it.
Thursday night, he's going to have some dudes hitting him. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Whether he has the football or not, I don't know, but he's going to have some dudes hitting him.
Well, TJ, he better get familiar with number 90
Yeah.
on the other side because, look, I don't feel great about that matchup anyway. Hubbard now has got a concussion. What's that going to look like with Dillard on the left side and I assume Petit Frere back on the right side? I mean, look, they don't have anybody who can block TJ Watt, so it doesn't really matter who's out there, but TJ Watt's going to be in the backfield a lot on Thursday night.
Right. I mean, Vrabel was right yesterday, and I don't even remember what the question was, but, talking about, like, Dillard. It was some question about Dillard and TJ Watt, and he was like, yeah, I mean, like, everybody has to be helped if you're trying to block TJ Watt. So, if it was Petit Frere over there, would everybody be feeling good about it? No. You feel worse with Dillard over there. Although I will give Dillard credit for doing okay coming off the bench the other day. He was fine. It wasn't like he had any huge issues.
No, I mean,
he's had a lot this year, so.
Well, if you're Levis, you just better be ready to get the ball out quick. Like how many opportunities are the Titans going to have on Thursday to kind of drop back and run those deep routes? We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
you can scheme some open.
Can you run it? Can you run it at all?
Yeah.
Can you run it? Can you set up play action? I mean, it's not like TJ Watt's great, but it's not like Steelers opponents haven't had some passing success this year.
Exactly. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. What did you make of Mike Vrabel's answer when asked about Tannehill and whether or not Tannehill or Levis would be the starting quarterback once Ryan Tannehill heals up from his ankle injury yesterday? We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We've got a lot to get to on the Titans today. Taking your thoughts all show long here on the program. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
When you own a business, it's like another member of your family. Its success takes time. It requires money, attention, and tools to help it grow. At F&M Bank, we'll treat your business like family, building trust and responding quickly when you need us. No matter your business goals, you can reach them easier when you have a banking relationship that supports you, tools to conveniently manage your money coming in and going out, and expertise to make your business better. Bank your business at F&M Bank. myfmbank.com. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Fast-paced health provides easy access to quality care close to home. The streets you live on are the streets we live on. We're part of the baseball games and Main Street parades. Your community is our community, and it's our mission to provide you with quick, convenient, and affordable health care. We're here for the injuries and illnesses, the preventative treatments, the chronic conditions, and so much more. Fast-paced health.
2 new locations, Antioch and Mount Juliet.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Thinning hair is normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate.
Once I started taking Nutrafol, I could visibly see my hair get thicker. It made my hair stronger.
Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand.
Nutrafol has taken me back to the hair I was meant to have.
You've got nothing to lose and everything to grow. Join the 1 million people growing at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah. And like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. So Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill. Looks like Will Levis is going to be out there on Thursday. I mean, I guess Vrabel technically left the door open for Tannehill. You know, it's a short week. So.
Sure, if Ryan's healthy.
If he's healthy, he can be out there.
Ryan, what's the phrase? If Ryan can't go?
Yeah, if Ryan can't go.
Vrabel's just going to be saying, like, 20 years from now still. You know, he'll be like Patriots coach or whatever. You know, he'll be like the new grizzled Belichick. He'll just still be saying, if Ryan can't go.
Yeah, if Ryan can't play out there. It's
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah,
but
Tannehill's
he's not playing.
He's not playing.
He's not playing on Thursday. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to play him on Thursday, and it's difficult for me to imagine him going from not practicing at all last week, not playing in the game, to all of a sudden this week practicing and being ready to play on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, exactly. He's out, but it will. Then you have that extra time and before the trip to Tampa Bay.
Yep.
So is it possible that things happen between this moment and that game week that actually make Ryan Tannehill a viable choice to be the Titans quarterback again?
Well, and we've talked about the other side of this. The one side, what if Levis goes out there and plays well? What if Thursday he looks more like a rookie and it's bad and the Titans offense can't get anything done, which we've seen several times so far this year on the road. He maybe throws a couple of picks. Things don't go well for Will Levis in game 2, and the Titans drop to 3-5. There's the one side of you got one piece of evidence in the Atlanta game where he looks phenomenal. Maybe he doesn't look very good in the Pittsburgh game, but there's also the record part of it too, where you're 3-5 at that point. Like that part of it would be really interesting too. Like if you're Vrabel, you're 3-5. You have one game of Levis that looks great, another one that maybe doesn't go so well, and now you're 3-5 in a playoff race. How do you handle that one? I mean, it really is fascinating the different ways this could go, and how Vrabel views those things. Because ultimately, I mean, that's what matters is how does Vrabel view this, and how committed is he to, now that Will Levis has been in there, that he keeps him in there moving forward.
Right. And again, it's like, do they move anybody today? If they don't and they're 3-5, yeah, like you're still in it. You're 3-5, and it was mostly because your rookie quarterback played like a rookie quarterback. Oh, and now your starter, who you've said all year is your starter, he's good for the next one. That's it. It's it. I don't think anything's. I don't think it's like they're just not telling us. I really don't think like Vrabel has told anybody in there. Yeah, it's Levis.
Right.
That's it. I don't buy that. Maybe Amy and Adam Strunk has said it's Levis. I don't know. Is she? Meddling owners would do that. By the way, there was not a fake Twitter account, but sort of a questionable Twitter account saying that Derrick Henry and the Ravens had a deal, but then ownership forced it to not happen. That is not true.
Yeah.
So
gotta love this time of year on X, Twitter.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
People just making stuff up.
Yeah, there's another one I saw, and I forget it, but it was I don't know if – oh, my gosh, I'm going to have to find this. This is someone who actually has gotten some stuff right. Oh, man. I hate when I start talking about things on the air that I don't totally remember, but I'm going to find it because it's interesting. How about that for a tease?
There you go.
Let's go to break. Okay.
Let's
go to break for 10 minutes while I look for
Joe,
this.
I texted it to our group chat.
Did you?
Yeah,
What?
I did.
Something else out there that's interesting. I know this is fascinating conversation.
I was just trying to help.
Thank you,
God
Nick.
dang it, I was looking at it too, then I went to
appreciate
bed.
Well, there was, and you brought this up earlier, the Albert Breer stuff last night of, could Danico Autry be on the move? Could Tierre Tart be on the move? We'll get into Tart specifically a little bit later here this hour. But, it is interesting. They're talking about on the NFL Network right now. Derrick Henry doesn't look like he's going to be moved today. DeAndre Hopkins, there's not been really anything on that regard to this point either. I am interested to get Diana Rossini's thoughts on that later in the show at 7:30 as to what she think might happen for the Titans today. But we talked about it yesterday. I think Sunday was a pretty shining example of what having those two guys specifically can do for your young quarterback. And if I'm the Titans and you do end up going with Will Levis and you're trying to set him up for success, it would be pretty good to have DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry as a part of that.
Yes. I think the trades that make sense today would be on the other side of the ball. But it's still like,
well, we're trading our whole defense away.
Well, right.
Need you to score 38 a game.
I know, that's the thing. So then trade Tart. I mean, I think Tart mattered the other day. Trade Tart, trade Autry. And then Simmons is sitting there like, great. So for the rest of the year, I can be triple teamed.
Yes.
That sounds amazing. Thanks, Vrabes. Appreciate it. Let's do some pregame. You hit me a little bit, and then maybe that'll make me able to handle that without those guys. Again, those are just two names that Breer threw out there, but it's an interesting situation. The contrast of trying to build for the future and the fact that they're still hanging around there and just came off a big win.
How upset do you think Titans fans would be if they get through this Pittsburgh game, Tannehill gets healthy, and Tannehill's the starting quarterback against Tampa Bay? What do you think the reaction is from Titans fans if Vrabel goes that way?
Yeah.
Maybe
they'll mute themselves so they don't scream at him. Yeah, I don't think it would be very excited. That's for sure. Again, it's like the only way that Titans
they boo from Tampa Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like conversation about booing the last 2 days.
Yeah, one Florida. There's plenty of Titans fans, I'm sure. It's like fans of all the other teams are down there. There'll be enough to boo in that stadium, I'm sure. Yeah, it's like, okay, if it's just a brutal, come back to earth rookie performance and you win, then it's like, okay, well, you're in there. What do you do? What's your best chance of winning? And you don't move those guys.
Right.
So basically you're just down a buyer. Those are conditions, but I still think a lot of fans would be like, no. Because even if you are 4-4 and you're hanging in there, and you can be in the race well into December, just like a lot of fans are accurately saying, what are you really going to do with this team?
Right. Well, it's also like once that guy gets in there, and I mean you can look across the league, but once your draft pick gets in there at quarterback, regardless of the circumstances, whether they're starting to begin with or whether they end up replacing somebody via injury or you decide to take a look at them at some point in the season, once that happens, like the fan base is like, okay, well, you've done it. So now let's see it, and let's let him play, and let's let this whole thing play out so you can get as much information, as much evaluation as you possibly can. And I think a lot of Titans fans saw what he did on Sunday and said, okay, well, then why would you ever turn back at this point? And I get it. Like, I understand that thought process for sure. I'm not 100% convinced yet that Vrabel is there. And that's the interesting part to me is like, ultimately, I can want Levis to stay in. You can want Levis to stay in. The fans can want Levis to stay in. But it really only comes down to one guy, and that's Vrabel.
Yeah, and it's like the suit Vrabel is one thing. You're thinking about the whole big picture. The coach Vrabel is who's my best option at every single spot this week to try to win one football game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you have to look at it. But does the big picture guy, sort of overrule the coach in Vrabel? I mean, obviously Levis makes it very simple if he keeps playing like he did the other day.
Well, I mean, if he replicates what he did the other day, and again, I'm not talking specifically numbers here, but if he just plays the way he played the other day and it looks smooth and it looks efficient and he's accurate with the football, I mean, maybe that's what he is. Maybe that's
it's very easy then.
Well, then the decision is done
Yeah.
at that point. I mean, look, it was incredibly impressive what he did on Sunday. I mean, it's been the talk of the town. It's been the buzz all over the city. The way that Will Levis played on Sunday, there's a lot to be happy about, a lot to be excited about if you're a Titans fan after watching that happen. It is one game. We talked about that yesterday, but if he goes out there on Thursday and he just is an absolute baller once again, well, then to me, it's kind of over with at that point, and the decision is made. And I can't imagine, even from like Vrabel's standpoint, how you wouldn't just keep leaving him in at that point.
Right. I mean, look, Tannehill has talked about it. He was a better option going in. Tannehill has been a good quarterback, to very good quarterback here. The numbers are bad. I know it's like Levis just doubled Tannehill's season touchdowns in one day. How could you possibly go back to him? But Tannehill is, I'm surprised, frankly, that like I'm not hearing more about the Vikings possibly thinking of him. But apparently, he's just an afterthought. But I will say this. Tannehill does seem to be – I mean, the injuries seem to be catching up with him a little bit, and you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Just in how he's moving out there. So you've got a young, healthy guy here, too, who can do some things that maybe Tannehill isn't as good at anymore.
Is it time for us to give Junior Riddle his flowers? Did you see his tweet yesterday? Here was the tweet from Junior Riddle.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
It's one game for the Titans, rookie quarterback Will Levis, but it was a phenomenal performance. All offseason, I was one of very few media members who thought the team should move to him sooner rather than later. All I was told was how crazy and uninformed I was. How we feeling now? That's the tweet from Junie yesterday.
Yeah, I'm definitely not giving him flowers after that BS. Shut up, Junie. God. I mean, listen. Good for Levis. He was great. It was not, going to Levis from the start was not the move. Not with the team that you had. They haven't played as well as they were supposed to. And then Tannehill got hurt. But no, don't. This is, this is Jared-ish. That's a Jared-ish tweet. Okay?
Look, I was proud of Judy for throwing that out there yesterday. Way to go, Judy.
Yeah, he was already coming after me at the press conference. I'm like, just okay. Calm down, man. Calm down.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. More of your thoughts on the Titans, Will Levis, the quarterback decision ahead for Mike Vrabel, and today's NFL trading deadline. What do you think we could see today for the Titans? Will we see anything? More on that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
Hey there, are you seeking relief? Perhaps you would just like to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? I'm serious. You can have legal THC products shipped to the comfort of your home. Yup, comfort in cannabis is only one website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. Green Trees with a Z.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
Today, football is a game of sound. What if you couldn't hear your coach's play calls? What if you couldn't hear the referee's whistle? For deaf and hard of hearing athletes like me, these what-ifs are a reality. But with the AT&T 5G helmet, now we can see play calls just like the other teams hear them.
Connect the player, change the game. Learn more at att.com/5G helmet. Connecting changes everything. AT&T. AT&T is a proud supporter of the Gallaudet Bison AT&T 5G helmet, not for sale.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Regarding those reports from yesterday, has Rand or someone in the front office told you they don't want to trade you? Is that true, or just kind of where do you stand on that?
I've talked to them. We had talks, and feel like everything's going in a positive direction. I understand my position, and the lifespan of it is not too long, and I'm getting older. I ain't getting no younger. So, but at the end of the day, I know it's a business. I understand that. Like Coach said earlier this week, we know what we signed up for, and sometimes the business side is not what you always want, but it's a business. So, but at the end of the day, I'm a Titan. I'm happy to be a Titan, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to help this organization continue to win, and hopefully, keep going further and further, and do what we can to possibly get a championship this year.
That was Derrick Henry after the game on Sunday, discussing his situation heading into the trade deadline. Trade deadline today at 3 p.m. Central Time. So keep that in mind. 3 p.m. Central Time today is the deadline in the NFL for trades to be completed. We'll see whether or not the Titans are active at all today. By the way, Adam Schefter putting it out there yesterday that the deadline to restructure the contract if a team was wanting to trade for Derrick Henry yesterday was 4 o'clock Eastern time. That did not happen, so makes it pretty unlikely that Derrick Henry will be traded. So I guess the original report, Joe, from Adam Schefter that Derrick Henry won't be traded unless he is, looks pretty good so far today. It's good.
That's right. That is looking pretty strong. But yeah, that is an interesting thing to remember. So, like, you can't teams trading players can't take any of the money now. So, like if the Titans were, like if the Vikings were interested in Tannehill, and they're like, yeah, but you got to pay whatever would be left of Tannehill, about $20 million. You got to take 10 of it. Can't do it anymore. You got to take on whoever's taking a player has to take on all the money now. So,
which kind of makes it unlikely to me that Tannehill's getting traded today too. If that didn't happen, that's a lot of money for somebody to take on.
Yeah, there's no, and I know sometimes deals come out of nowhere for sure. That can happen, but it appears there's just no momentum, no interest from Minnesota. I'm really a little confused. Minnesota's just got to be punting on the season, right? If they don't make a deal today, I understand like Nick Mullins will be back at some point. But they're going to lose some games with this rookie.
Get excited.
Yeah, well, but at least he's like a guy who has played some in the league and might be an okay game manager.
Well,
with those weapons. But yeah, like if they're not going to go out and try to, and there is some talk of Jameis Winston now.
There is.
So that's what I was. Oh my gosh, that might be it. That might be what I was talking about earlier.
Well, I saw some of that yesterday, like Winston, and we talked about it on the show yesterday morning. To me, though, like unless the draft compensation is just really, really good and something you can't pass up, like if I'm New Orleans, why would I do that? That's a team right now that you're in a playoff race with. New Orleans, obviously they want to win their division and take care of things that way, but that is a wild card battle right now. Like I'm not helping out Minnesota by handing them a quarterback unless the draft compensation is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And by the way, it's C.J. Golson. So C.J. Golson, he has a pinned tweet where he broke the Jonnu Smith story before Adam Schefter. I worry about someone with 7,000 followers that it's not.
Rexrode's being a follower snob.
Well, just because usually I'm with you. Yeah, just in terms of usually with someone who breaks news, like usually the followers like load up, but he is saying Winston, the Vikings heating up. So I'm just saying that is better than there was a totally fake account yesterday that's had Urban Meyer and Michigan State on the verge of.
I did see that,
and I get all these people texting me. I'm like, please leave me alone.
Would you do that if you're the Saints? Like, what would it take for you to give up Jameis Winston to a team that you're in some ways in direct competition for a playoff spot with?
Well, I'd listen because, first of all, I mean, if you can get something, it's great to have a backup, but if you can get something, and you probably right now, don't you feel like you can win this division? It's like week to week. They look good. They go to Indy, and that offense looks really good.
Yep.
So now you feel like, okay, we can win this division, but yeah, it's a fair question because they may well be fighting with them for a wild card spot. But you know what? Depending on what you think of Jameis, maybe you're like, yeah, they're not going to do anything with him. Sure, have him.
That could be that too.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think he's going to go up there
Jameis
and light
is
it
prone
up,
to throw a pick or two.
Yeah. But I mean, that's at least. That's at least trying. There's a Kyler Murray talk, and I thought the Tannehill stuff would get some momentum, but it does not appear to be doing that. So, like you said, with you can't pay down any of Tannehill's money. He's probably going to be here. I mean, I think that's certainly good. I don't think that's also good for Levis, by the way. If we're talking about Henry and Hopkins helping him, Tannehill being here in the building with him the rest of the year, good for him.
Yeah, I would say so. And then it does beg the question, like, if it's not going to be Henry, which it doesn't look like it is, it's not going to be Tannehill, which it doesn't look like there's any momentum for that. Like, are the Titans going to do anything today? Or is it just going to be Kevin Byard's out the door and that's it? And if that's the case, like if they get through the deadline today and all it is Kevin Byard out the door and you get a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and Edmonds back from the Eagles, does that make sense to you? Like, what? Like, are the Titans – is that something, if you're a Titans fan, do you have a problem with that? How do you view that if you're the Titans?
Yeah, it's a great question. Had they lost to the Falcons, then you'd have a huge problem with it. And again, I know it's one game, but again, if you were 2-5 right now, can't even beat the Falcons at home, and then didn't move anyone else, then yes, it would be like, what is happening? What are you doing? It's like. And if you don't, then it's like, if they don't, then I think a lot of people are like, okay, then you better go beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Because it's – but people are going to be mad either way. If they trade, like we were talking about earlier, if you trade away an Autry and or a Tart or whatever, and you further weaken that defense, then you go to Pittsburgh and they run for 150 yards on you, in a game you might have won otherwise.
Right.
I mean, it's – so – does it make sense? Could I see it? Yeah, I mean, even when it first happened, I was like, it could be a one-off. It's possible. Could be a one-off. They had a chance. The team really wanted Byard, and so they made it happen. They wanted to move Byard. They wanted Byard to take a pay cut. Maybe they just didn't think that Byard was nearly as good as they need him to be this year, and so that's it.
Well, I flipped on it because when they made the Byard trade, my position was, well, if you're going to do that, then keep going. Start getting as much draft capital as you can get. And, if they ended up making a couple more moves today, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But after watching, especially offensively, after watching them play Sunday and what Hopkins did, the more I've thought about it, the value of having Henry there with Levis, like I think you can get a pretty good look at Levis, and not totally determine what he is, but I think you can get a pretty good look at Levis this year, and having those two guys specifically around helps more. So if we would have asked this question immediately after the Byard trade, I would have had a pretty big problem with them not continuing to go down that path. And the more I thought about it, especially offensively, I think it makes a lot of sense to keep Hopkins and Henry around. So I've kind of flipped on that one.
Yeah, I think the offensive side, whatever it is, if you're thinking about your young quarterback, then that makes sense. And Hopkins next year. I mean, this team. I mean, if like Levis is good, this team is going to have a chance to Obviously, they'll have a draft, but they could do a lot in free agency. They have a lot of money.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, if Levis is good and you get to the end of this season and you feel like he's at a place where you can start to compete next year, the amount of money that you've got, I mean, you can change the roster around pretty quickly. Now, you still need draft picks, and that's where the argument of continuing to sell off kind of comes in there, because the Titans could absolutely use more draft picks. But from a money perspective, with a quarterback on a rookie deal, particularly a rookie deal that's not a first-round pick, I mean, there is the lack of fifth-year option that could work against you, but for the next 3 years, you would have a whole lot of room to operate with if you're Carthon and Brable.
Right. So Hopkins coming back next year for the second year of his deal might be pretty good. If you feel like you could if you're a GM with that kind of money, you got to feel like you can help yourself a lot. And so Hopkins makes sense to come back. Henry, that's another story. I still think it could end up coming back around to that. We'll see. Because that's the thing, too. Like, if Henry sees Levis, because we've talked about Henry ring chasing, but if Henry watches Levis, like, man, this kid's good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you could come back. Again, I mean, if I'm Derrick Henry, I'm absolutely fully exploring the market, but you got to be realistic with that. So if you don't trade those guys, obviously, then one of them back if you want them for sure, and one of them possibly.
Oh, this is a pretty good point from Tyler, and it's wild to think about. He says on the text line, if I told you guys before the season that the Titans would be undefeated in Nissan Stadium through Week 12 and would have beaten the Bengals by 24, how would you think the season is going? It's amazing to me that through 11 weeks, the Titans will have had 3 games in their stadium. That is wild.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, obviously there's a quote-unquote home game. You know, London was a home game, but they look great in their own stadium.
Yeah.
And it's going to be their 4th game in the new stadium will be at the end of November.
Yeah.
4th game in their stadium will be at the end of November.
It's wild. I mean, the next time they're at home is November 26th against the Panthers.
Right.
That will be their 4th game. They got 3 games on the road coming up. It is wild to think about.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
But God bless the London game. Glad they had the home game out there.
Yeah.
It's good. Went well for them.
So that's the thing. You get to that, Carolina coming in here game, and then you look at from there. It's like it's a pretty favorable stretch. But what do you have to do in these 3 straight road games to make it anything but a chance for the rookie to keep getting better?
Oh, by the way, one of ththose is Jacksonville, too.
One of those is Jacksonville.
Yep.
I mean, basically, you probably have to win that game. But you could still be in the wild card race if you were to win the other 2 and lose that game.
615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones coming up next on the Titans. It is NFL trade deadline day today. Your phone's on that all show long. 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL,
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. If you have some things around your home that you've been putting off fixing, like your regular HVAC maintenance or a clogged bathroom drain, Hiller has some big discounts this month. When the temperature drops and you start using your heater for the first time, you do not want to be dealing with breakdown issues, and this month, Hiller is offering half off HVAC tune-up. And Hiller is bringing back their $99 drain cleaning special. These deals only last this month, so be sure to call today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds of Falls and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Fast-paced health provides easy access to quality care close to home. The streets you live on are the streets we live on. We're part of the baseball games and Main Street parades. Your community is our community, and it's our mission to provide you with quick, convenient, and affordable health care. We're here for the injuries and illnesses, the preventative treatments, the chronic conditions, and so much more. Fast-paced health.
2 new locations, Antioch and Mount Juliet.
There are ordinary hotels, and there's the Four Seasons. There are ordinary cars, and there's the Rolls-Royce. There are ordinary handbags, and there's Gucci. There are ordinary engagement rings, and there's Genesis. A Genesis diamond ring is unlike any other. Artistic, innovative design, handcrafted precision, exceptional detail and quality. This is why people who work at other jewelers come to Genesis for their rings. A Genesis ring is considered the gold standard in bridal, with no compromises, no cut corners, nothing short of perfection. We have the look, the style every woman dreams about. At Genesis, you'll find dozens of exclusive world-class bridal designers who are revered for their attention to detail, exceptional vision, and superior craftsmanship. A Genesis ring rises to the occasion, reflecting her style, her unique personality, her confidence, her individuality. In a world filled with ordinary, for this moment, choose extraordinary. Choose Genesis. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
It's electric in Smashville. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429 has a new path to a dignified career. Local 429 is accepting applications for the highest skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, your proud seventh man since the beginning. Go Preds!
Score all the action this football season with great deals from Vivid Seats. From college games to NFL, there's nothing like seeing every block, blitz, and big play of your favorite team live. Vivid Seats celebrates fandom with unbeatable rewards like free tickets, surprise seat upgrades, and annual birthday deals. With Vivid Seats Rewards, you earn rewards with every purchase. From first down to final whistle, Vivid Seats has a great selection for all the 2023 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Levis off the fake, looking for Hopkins. He's got it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Will Levis leads the Titans to victory over the Falcons in his first NFL start.
Not a bad debut. We got the win. That's all that matters, and got to get ready for this short week against Pittsburgh.
Have they found their future QB?
Talking about hypotheticals, and we'll get Ryan healthy and see where things are at then.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Tomorrow on Friday, Joe and I and the Chase and Big Joe Show will be broadcasting live at the grand opening of 2 new Dunkin' locations in Old Hickory. This Wednesday's Dunkin' location will be at 511 Hadley Village Boulevard, and Fridays will be at 14835 Lebanon Road. Make sure you come hang out with us. 102.5 The Game will be on site from 6 to 11 a.m. and have your chance to win tickets to an upcoming Nashville concert, plus tons of other giveaways as well. So looking forward to that. We'll be out in Old Hickory tomorrow for the grand opening of a new Dunkin' location. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Taking your thoughts on the Titans. Caroline Fenton joining us at 7 o'clock. Diana Rossini joining the program at 7:30. So looking forward to all that coming up. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Kenny the mailman. Kenny, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning, good friends. How are y'all?
We're good, Kenny. Good.
Excellent. You know, as sports fans, especially baseball and basketball, it is so fun to sit around and talk about trading. I need this guy. Your team needs that guy. I'll give you this and that. You can talk for hours like that. But football is totally different because it is a hard, painful game to play. And a lot of the guys that are walking out on the Titans team will never step on the field again after this year. You never know. You never know when someone's going to have an injury. It is so hard to trade good players off and then mentally tell these guys that are here, you still go out and play as hard as you can, and you're going to have to go through the pain and everything it takes. But yet your team is not as good, and everybody knows it. How do you get around that? You know, we talk about the first level of football, but the behind the scenes, because I was so scared the Titans would come out like a flat bottle of Diet Coke Sunday, trading away, you know, a captain. So if you could talk about lessening your team, but still expecting 100% effort. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Kenny. Appreciate it. I mean, that is a point we've talked about. Like if the Titans went the route of selling people off, and trying to collect as much draft capital as they could get, what message does that send to the locker room, and how does the locker room respond at that point? One of the points I've made, Joe, is like you hope that your locker room, has professionalism and wants to continue. I mean, look, they're putting out tape. Some of these guys are fighting for contracts in the future, so I still would think that for the most part the effort would be fine, and that you would have guys playing as hard as they could. But for veteran guys, that would be the interesting question. Like if you're a Jeffrey Simmons, or if you're a DeAndre Hopkins and he didn't get traded, what would that look like in terms of, oh, we've just totally torn this thing down, huh? And we're expected to go out there and act like we got a chance to go compete for a playoff spot?
Yeah, totally, absolutely. It's a huge part of this. Now, I would say that the Titans definitely did not come out crying for themselves after they traded Kevin Byard. They came out strong, and they played really well Sunday. And it helps to be at home, and it helps to have that extra juice from the rookie out there and all that stuff too. I don't think effort on game – talked about this last week. I don't think effort on game day is the question. You can't play that way, You got – it's incredible level of violence that you're dealing with in this game. I think, the day-to-day, the preparation, stuff like that, does that fall off a little bit? Do you worry as a coach about that falling off a little bit when things like this go that way? I think that's where it is. And that shows up on game day, not necessarily in effort, but just in execution and, that edge that you're always trying to find. You get a little bit less of an edge, and that can be the difference in this league, which anybody can beat anybody, and most games are really close. That's where I think it's a lot more subtle than just like, they quit. I mean, you don't do that. It's very hard to be in this league. Even if you're a great player who's solidified yourself, Jeff Simmons out there the other day throwing people around like rag dolls.
He was.
So, but it's still it's always very interesting, and that's where you make the case now. Okay, Byard was a move. Someone asked on the text line, like, does Rand have a personal problem with Byard? I've heard this question. No, it's not about a personal problem. He's a GM who comes into a new team, looks at the sheet, and says, "Wow, so your aging safety makes that much, huh?" And it's there's an obvious place to look.
Yeah.
How good is he still? And look, early on this season, it was underwhelming on the Byard front. So I know it wasn't. I don't think it was great with Philly's out there giving up 31 points to Washington.
Right.
I think he'll probably help Philly, but I think there's logic to the move. It's just I don't think they handled it well, and obviously it ticked off Byard. If there's a personal issue, it might be Byard with Carthon, who he did not thank in his statement, by the way.
He did not.
But the other way around, no. So Andrew from Dover saying, the Titans take a shot, Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams.
Well, look.
So I asked him, what are you trading? He said, Willis, Phillips. I love when people want to trade like players that no one would have interest in.
Right.
Willis, Phillips, but he said this year's second, and next year's second.
Well, look, the Vikings are not trading Justin Jefferson. They're trying like mad to get him signed.
He may be unhappy,
yeah.
But it's not the Devontae Adams unhappy. Now that is unhappy. That's a different level of unhappy.
Yes. Now, the Adams one is interesting today because, they've talked about how they don't want to trade him. He said, for the most part, all the right things to this point. Now, he was pretty visibly frustrated last night after the game. You're talking about, that's the problem with playing Monday Night Football. If they're going to do it, they basically have the day to figure it out. I am interested to see, could there be a last-second push from Devontae Adams' point of view to try to get out of there? He signed there. He wanted to play with Derek Carr, and after the first year, they shipped Derek Carr off, and the Jimmy G part of it has not gone well, especially with him. It's just not gone well. So I do wonder if Devontae Adams gets a little aggressive today, trying to push his way out of the Raiders.
Yeah, and after last night, I feel for him because he'd be much better off with Derek Carr throwing the football.
He would.
Jimmy G looks awful.
He looks terrible.
Awful. So, yeah, I think he's one of the most interesting storylines of the day. Who knows what the Raiders might do?
Yeah, you never know. What do you make of the Teair Tart part of this? Do you think there's a chance he could be moved today? It's been kind of a weird back and forth with Teair. We talked about the social media stuff with Teair Tart. Vrabel was talking yesterday about, his contract's up after the year, and we've told him. I mean, you can help the team and you can help your family at the same time.
Actually, do we have that? Yeah, it was an interesting. So, but to set this up real fast, sitting there Sunday, Tear Tart makes a good play, comes off the field, and Vrabel kind of goes and slaps his hand. But then Vrabel keeps kind of like walking with him, and like he's kind of in his ear, He's kind of like, a little conversation. Then Tart turns and shoves Vrabel. And I'm sitting there next to TD, and I'm like, did you see that? Like, Tart just slammed into Vrabel, and TD's like, no, I wasn't watching. But Glenn, the two Muppets down at the down the row a little bit were watching. So there was a question about this, and I was like, was that like, yeah, let's go, or was that like, get away from me, Braves? Yeah. I don't know. But he talked a little bit about this yesterday.
So let's play that audio, Nick, when we –
No? All right. So I'll paraphrase the audio. Essentially, an interesting thing about this, and then Vrabel, this is probably Vrabel, opening the curtain a little bit more than he normally does, talking about how it's like basically you can help yourself and your family and also still help the team. So clearly, Tart is thinking about Tart
next deal.
Yeah, Tart's thing, which is totally understandable. But that's where I never understand how, like, you don't get that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, those two things should not be opposing. Those two things should not be opposing each other at all. Yeah, here's Vrabel. Quote, that's a love tap. If you can't hit me harder than that, how are you going to hit the offensive lineman? I just try to
coach. What does that mean?
I know. I just try to coach team, try to make a connection with these guys. I try to be honest with them. I try to tell them the truth. I try not to waste their time. We need Tier. Tier also has an individual situation. There's no secret. His contract's up after this year. I told him for you and your family, both things can happen. You can play well, and you can help the team, and you can play well and help your family. That's what professional sports is, and I understand it, end quote.
That is very interesting.
Does Tier understand it?
Yeah.
So obviously, social media stuff and all that, there's a little bit, and I think it has to do with like injury and maybe, look, if you're not showing up for treatment or whatever it is, that's speculation. There's some sort of conflict with that, but he makes a difference.
He does.
There is no doubt. He makes a difference. He made a difference the other day. You see the difference when he's not out there. If Jeff Simmons sitting there today, like, if you trade away Tier and or Danico on me, there's a guy who would not be happy.
Until he goes to the bank and says, oh, yeah, okay, we're good.
Well, sure. But, you know what? Let no one ever say that Jeff Simmons, he got paid and then, like, he lost some edge.
Oh, no, there's no edge that's been lost.
I mean, that guy he takes it personally.
Join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks and Cool Springs this Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. for our NFL pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 9 matchup against the Steelers and give you the latest updates before the game. Our NFL pregame show presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and The Beast Unleashed. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Caroline Fenton. We'll get her thoughts on Will Levis Mania here in Nashville. And her thoughts on all things college football as well. Looking forward to that. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Today, football is a game of sound. What if you couldn't hear your coach's play calls? What if you couldn't hear the referee's whistle? For deaf and hard of hearing athletes like me, these what-ifs are a reality. But with the AT&T 5G helmet, now we can see play calls just like the other teams hear them.
Connect the player, change the game. Learn more at att.com/5G helmet. Connecting changes everything. AT&T. AT&T is a proud supporter of the Gallaudet Bison AT&T 5G helmet, not for sale.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Now, your Game Center update.
I'm Nick Keiser. The Detroit Lions defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 24-14 last night, and wide receiver Devontae Adams had one catch for 11 yards. The wideout shared his thoughts after the game as the Raiders have now lost 2 in a row.
Honestly, I don't know what to say at this moment. I truly don't. I wish I had the words to say something that's not going to get blown up in the media and taken out of context. So I'm going to just I just don't know.
And the sports equinox was yesterday with the NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL, and MLS all in action. Altogether, it was 24 games. It was the 30th time in history that these sports were all overlapped, and it's the only time it'll happen during 2023. And ahead of Thursday Night Football, Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin has already ruled out defensive back Minkah Fitzpatrick and said the door is still ajar for quarterback Kenny Pickett to play against the Titans with no structural damage to his ribs. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keiser here with you on this Tuesday morning. And as we do every Tuesday morning, we are joined by Caroline Fenton on our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caroline, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Happy Halloween, everybody. How we doing?
Happy Halloween. We're doing well. Appreciate you taking time to be with us.
You got a.
So do you have a costume on?
Yeah. So I was gonna go. I don't have one on. I was gonna do Connor Stallions because we were supposed to go to a party Saturday, and then we ended up not going, and so then I didn't do it. But I mean, I also feel like that's probably a million people are doing Connor Stallions.
I bet there's not as many people as you think doing Connor Stallions.
Yeah, it depends on the
geographical
up where
region.
I'm from.
Yeah.
But I thought I had some cool ideas. What about you?
No, I'm not in a costume.
Well, but do you have one? Do you have a costume at some point?
I was a Statue of Liberty over the weekend.
Caroline woke up at 7.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, it's Halloween. Putting the costume on already.
Actually, bummer because I'm just sitting here in my office, just alone, sitting in a massive costume.
Just awesome stuff. Caroline, what have you made of Will Levis mania taking over the city after his performance on Sunday?
I mean, Will Levis mania should take over the city. My goodness, when you go out and have a performance like that, I mean, it should set the city on freaking fire. I mean, Will Levis, I was so impressed. And look, all week long leading up to it, I was like, look, everybody, temper expectations. He's a rookie. Let's grade him on a curve. Let's not be too harsh on him now. Because I was fully expecting Will Levis to go out there and look like a rookie. But he very much so did not. Like that throw to Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, I didn't know if in the moment I was being overly dramatic for thinking, are there 3, 4, 5 other quarterbacks in the NFL that can make that throw? The more I go back and watch it, I say no. Like that's not dramatic. To say that that's a Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, and Rodgers, and now Levis kind of throw. And also, let's keep in mind, it's one game. It's one small sample size. I would be surprised if Will Levis has 250 passing yards and 4 touchdowns every game he plays in a Titans uniform. But if it's all we have to go off of, I mean, it was so exciting to watch.
So remind me, where were you on Levis in the draft process? I'm just, I want to make sure we keep all the takes. Because I was not. I mean, I had him as my 4th of the 4, top quarterbacks going in. So I'll raise my hand.
I did not like the pick.
Yeah.
You had him behind Hendon Hooker?
I did.
I had him above Hendon Hooker. I think I had it Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker. But I didn't think, honestly, I did not think that Will Levis would fall to the second round. Honestly, when I picked Will Levis, I think I was more excited of the drama of the Titans drafting a quarterback more than I was excited about the actual quarterback that they took. And I'm going to be completely honest. I wasn't against the pick. I was just a little bit confused about the pick of, you got to pick a receiver anytime soon? You got to pick some of these positions of need anytime soon, like quarterback, really of utmost need right now. So I was more so, speculative of, what the Titans' plan was that season than I was the actual pick itself.
Caroline, what did you make of Tennessee on Saturday? They go into Lexington. Joe Milton plays probably the best he's played all year, and they walk out of there with a 33-20.
By now you know. The Vols are a run-first team. Like, that's what they are. And I think that stat line for Joe Milton, that's the kind of game that Joe Milton needs to play. And I don't think it's putting too much on. 21 attempts, 18 completions, 21 attempts, 228 yards, 1 touchdown. That's the kind of stat line that I always talk about is, the perfect stat line for Ryan Tannehill. Don't ask him to do too much. You're not asking to throw for, 40 times a game, 350, 400 yards. But 21 attempts, 220 yards, I think that's perfect. That's right in Joe Milton's wheelhouse. But they're going to win games by running the football. I mean, I carried the football 47 times on Saturday night. And I looked at Tennessee's run game in a similar way that I looked at Tennessee's passing game last year, where so many times I did, and probably you did too, looked at it like, how in the world is Jalen Hyatt wide open? How in the world did the defense not think, hey, maybe let's pay attention to their leading receiver? I feel the same way with the run game of how in the world is there a wide open hole right there? How in the world could they let either Jalen Wright or Jabari Small or Dylan Sampson, whoever's carrying the football, how in the world did the defense leave a hole wide open? And I think that's just kind of the Josh Heupel effect that, we think of Tennessee after last year being such a pass-happy team, that's what they're doing by running the football. But as long as it's successful, it's working. Devin Leary, on the other hand, looked better than we've seen him look all season long, but win's a win.
Yeah, he did. Leary was excellent, which confused me.
He did.
So, by the way, where do you come down on the whole Connor Stallions thing, Caroline?
What do you mean? Where do I come down on it?
Well, I mean, what do you think of it?
So somebody asked me this. I think it was last week. Do you think this is a huge deal, or do you think that this is no deal at all? And at the time, I said, can I call it a medium deal? Because I don't think that this is the most egregious crime against football humanity in the history of college football crimes that have ever been committed. But, this is bad. And I also think it is so hilarious how stupid and obvious Michigan football is being. Buying tickets in his name? Are you kidding me? And allegedly receiving Venmos in exchange for the signs that he stole by using his name and a picture of him in the Michigan locker room. Are we even trying to cover up our footsteps? Are we even trying to cover up the fact that we are, in fact, breaking the rules here? So they did something dumb, and they weren't even smart about doing something dumb. And look, I think this very well could be Jim Harbaugh's job. I mean, the more that comes out, and I feel like there's more damning evidence that comes out day by day and week by week, it's just a worse and worse look for Harbaugh. And I think that if Michigan was not a CFP, a consistent CFP contender over the last couple of years, this investigation would probably be going a whole lot quicker than it is now. It just so happens that Michigan's one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country. So I think that Michigan's taken their sweet time.
It's amazing how much better they've gotten
in 2 years.
No apparent reason.
Crazy that when you know what the other team is going to do, you look pretty good.
It does seem to help.
Isn't it amazing that they were 7-5 consistently every year before Connor Stallions came aboard? Crazy how that works, isn't it?
It's pretty wild. Alabama LSU on Saturday. Going to be pretty wild environment in Tuscaloosa for that one. What are your initial impressions of that matchup for your Tigers?
Well, my initial impressions are that I want to throw up, Robby, because I'm so nervous about this matchup. But this is truly, immovable force versus what is the term?
Unstoppable force, immovable objects.
There you go.
That's what it is. There you go. Thank you. 7 a.m. Because LSU's an elite offense. Alabama is an elite defense. LSU's offense hasn't seen a defense like this. Alabama's defense hasn't seen an offense like this. Also, LSU secondary will be without 3 of its 4 veteran transfer portal players. So you're looking at 3 true freshmen that are most likely going to be the starting corners for LSU on Saturday, which is going to be super great, considering Jalen Milroe can air the ball out 80 freaking yards if he wants to. I think it just comes down to, can LSU's offense do enough to make up for a bad defense? On the other hand, can Alabama's defense do enough to limit LSU's offense? Now, we haven't seen a defense limit what Jaden Daniels and the rest of this LSU offense wants to do all season long. But also, then again, like I said, LSU hasn't seen a defense like this. And you also add in the Bryant-Denny effect. You also add in the fact that Nick Saban doesn't lose to teams 2 years in a row. Nick Saban doesn't lose in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I mean, they lost to Texas earlier this season. Before that, they won 43 consecutive games at home. It's hard to win in Bryant-Denny Stadium, but it's also hard to stop an LSU offense that's averaging 555 yards a game.
So you're telling me we're going to have a shootout here? Is that's what we're talking about? I mean, I'm here for it.
I am too.
If we're going to have a shootout, LSU wins the game, because I think that LSU can up against this offense can win in a shootout. But it comes down to, is Alabama's defense going to let LSU's offense get into a shootout? I mean, if Alabama wants to take away the passing game, well, that's fine. LSU can just run the ball down their throat. If they want to take away the run game, well, that's fine. Jaden Daniels is completely fine throwing the football 40 times a game, and he's got plenty of targets to throw to. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Nick Saban schemes up this defense and what they want to do to respect all of the elements of LSU's offense. But, I mean, this LSU defense is so bad. And it was so bad even with their veteran starters. Now they're without their veteran starters. So I have no idea what this LSU defense is going to look like, because it's been statistically one of the worst in college football. And I think it's only going to get worse from here.
Caroline, happy Halloween. Thanks so much for taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you next week.
Talk about spooky LSU's defense. Now that is absolutely, nightmare-inducing.
Yes, it is.
Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.
Thank you, Caroline. Caroline Fenton joins us every Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll get into the Vols, their win against Kentucky coming up next. We didn't have a whole lot of time. I don't think we brought it up one time yesterday, just based on something else that happened in this city on Sunday.
We were talking about the Stonewashed Stallion.
We did, yes, we were. So we'll get into Tennessee's big win against Kentucky coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Get Black Friday deals earlier than ever at Electronic Express. Get the gifts you want and save up to 40% throughout the entire store. Beat the crowds and save on hundreds of 4K TVs, appliances, computers, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing on items like an LG 86-inch 4K TV, now only $9.99. Or a Samsung laundry pair, only $5.99 each. Black Friday deals are here at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Get
ready to dig into the future of construction, look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with Link Belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, Link Belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit parmantractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about two things. Easy cleanup with the Ryobi 18-volt ONE+ Whisper Series leaf blower and football. That's right, Reese Davis. With variable speed, it has the power for when you really need it and just the right amount when you don't. And the ONE+ battery platform means you go from yard work to DIY in just a click, so you can get projects done faster. Which means more time for football. For football. Upgrade your Saturday with Ryobi and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to see Need to Breathe with special guests Judah and the Lion coming up at Bridgestone Arena on Wednesday, November 15th. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see Need to Breathe with special guests Judah and the Lion at Bridgestone Arena coming up on Wednesday, November 15th, 615-737-1025. We will have Diana Rossini from The Athletic coming up at 7:30. We'll get into the Titans and the NFL trading deadline with her, so looking forward to that here in about 12-ish minutes or so. So Diana Rossini coming up here in the next segment. Tennessee takes down Kentucky on Saturday in Lexington. They win 33-27. Another win for Tennessee against Kentucky. So, look, we talked about the Florida part of this and how, they just can't buy a win against Florida, apparently. Kentucky, it's the other way around. They beat Kentucky pretty much no matter what the situation is for the most part out there. And Tennessee does again on Saturday, 33-27. Jalen Wright, 11 carries, 120 yards, a touchdown in the game. He did get banged up in that game, so
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing he did for Kentucky's sake, because if he didn't, he might have ended up with 300 yards. He was averaging 10.9 yards per carry.
It's a good thing for me not screaming all week at Tennessee's coaches, because I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's like, okay, he has to be hurt. He was hurt.
Yeah, he
and
was
then
hurt.
Dylan Sampson, oh, by the way, jeez.
Yeah, 17 carries, 75 yards for Dylan Sampson, and Sampson made some big plays in the passing game, too. 4 catches, 39 yards. Joe Milton on the day, 18 of 21, 228 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. He looked pretty darn good on Saturday night. I think that's the best he's looked all year, including a couple of throws. And you and I talked about one yesterday where he's rolling to his left and scrambling out of the pocket and he fires an absolute dart to Thornton, and Thornton takes it for a big gain after the catch after that. But
big time play.
I thought Joe Milton looked really good on Saturday for Tennessee against Kentucky.
He was excellent, and I'm seeing a lot of reaction, like I've seen Wes Rucker, friend of the show, trying to get here on Twitter, and basically like, guys, I mean, did you watch him play? I mean, because people are still like, get him out, and it's like, look, if he's going to play like this, 3 of the last 4 halves of football from Joe Milton have been what you wanted to see from him this year. So that tells me he's improving. He's improving. The offense is improving around him. It's all starting to actually come together, even without Brew McCoy. So you got to just move on from that idea. I mean, he's going to play like that. That's you can win. You can go win at Missouri, and you got maybe a chance against Georgia.
Look, at this point, he's going to be the starter the rest of the regular season. I mean, they play UConn Saturday. He plays Missouri after that. Even if it goes bad against Missouri, are you really going to trot Nico out for the first time? Hey, it's Georgia. Have fun, kid.
Yeah.
You're not doing that.
No.
So he's going to be the starter the rest of the year.
Right. Like Nico, well, this Saturday you could see a pretty heavy dose of Nico. You could get a half of Nico if you play like you should in this game, and that's fine. And then you're getting them ready for next year. Yeah, the quarterback thing, the last 2 games to me, because going into Bama, I mean, even last week we talked about it a little bit, but I think these last 2 games now it should be a dead issue at this point, and there should be some excitement about Milton. Some of the using his feet to extend plays and throwing on the move well.
Yep.
You just haven't seen a ton of that. If you add that to his game, then he can be dangerous. I mean, he can be an effective player.
Dante Thornton, 3 catches, 63 yards on Saturday, 47 yards on that one play we were talking about earlier. But for the first time, it looked like he was a part of the offense, but also – when he got his opportunities, made the plays. And Heupel talked yesterday about, just kind of the patience of sticking with him all year. And a lot of times when you got a transfer player coming in, maybe it takes some time to get going. I don't know if this is like the beginning of some breakout second half of the season for Thornton, but, I mean, you could see the speed on the 47-yarder there. If they could get him more involved on the offense and he starts catching it when they throw it to him, the speed is just such a weapon that, Squirrel White's got it. Nobody else in that receiving core has it, certainly not to the level of Thornton, and you could see that on Saturday, what a difference that can be.
Yeah, and so he's outside now, which I think makes sense to try to see how he can do out there, and it looked good. Keep leaning into that. I mean, this week is, unfortunately, it's just a scrimmage in the middle of the season, but use it to build that chemistry and build that confidence. And if you could have him a little bit more warmed up and further into the offense going to Missouri, that could be very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it's the offense. Again, it was not a 2022 Tennessee offense performance. Like, you didn't put up 350 yards and have receivers running wide open all over the field. But this is the formula, right? I mean, if you can run the ball like that, and Joe Milton can take care of the football, make a few really big plays. I mean, look, Nimrod, my guy, his first career touchdown. The defender kind of fell down on the play. But good route by him.
Hey.
First career touchdown. All those things. Like the offensive part of it I thought was pretty encouraging. Now, I will say the defense, for whatever, like the defense wasn't very good on Saturday.
Kamal Haddon.
Kamal Haddon is being missed. The most concerning part to me about the defense is outside of a great play by James Pierce Jr. last week against Alabama, and they got in the backfield a couple times in this game, but Heupel was talking about it yesterday. Like the pass rush the last 2 games has not been anywhere near as effective as they need it to be on that side of the ball. And some of that has been, I think, the way that Alabama runs their offense. Kentucky was getting the ball out quick. So, I mean, there is some of that to factor in here. But Heupel concerned about the pass rush, and Heupel again on Saturday not very happy with the officiating, I think was fair to say after the game.
Yeah, let's just have a long pause.
Every press conference.
Long pause every presser. Yeah, there was like a holding that was obvious that they missed. It happens, but no live ball penalties against Tennessee opponents for 2 straight weeks. That's
pretty wild.
That's wild. That is wild, no doubt. I mean, the Vols, from what I could see, they played a ton of zone. The focus was stopping Ray Davis, and they did a good job of that. And in part because of that, there were some holes out there, and Devin Leary was just great. I mean, he was just making big-time throws all night. I'm like, well, if this is the guy they had all year, we might be talking about something different with Kentucky football.
28-39, 372 yards, 2 touchdowns for Devin Leary.
It's also a little bit, there was some moments out there like, boy, this secondary, this Vols secondary, And again, without Haddon now, you got Turnage out there a little bit. You've got obviously they still have Slaughter. Slaughter didn't have a great night.
Wesley Walker, yeah.
Well, Wesley Walker, I think has been pretty good this year. But another corner that was out there,
Judy Lawley.
Well, he's always been out there. Judy Lawley, Slaughter, and Haddon have been their guys. They had Turnage, and they had another guy out there at corner. And it's interesting, too, because they still really aren't going much to, like, these young guys.
They're not.
And you want to think that those guys are going to be an upgrade here, like next year in some cases.
You would think.
You'd like to.
It is kind of concerning they're not going to them right now.
Right. So that's something to watch. I mean, Missouri has great receivers.
They do. That could be.
On the road, great receivers. And obviously, Georgia is a load and from any aspect. So that needs to get better. But, yeah, the pass rush is the key there for the Vols. And I thought, like, Norman Lott and Thomas, those guys were really good overall in terms of pushing the line. But you got to affect the quarterback more.
They had 1 sack. And not that sacks are the be-all, end-all. They're just not getting to the backfield as much as we've seen. And, again, you're talking about a second half against Bama where it kind of fell apart. They weren't very good on Saturday against Kentucky. I mean, they stopped the run well, but they got thrown all over. It continues to be amazing to me, the difference in this defense between home and road. It's pretty stark, the difference.
Yeah. So, overall, the performance was good enough. It's going to have to be, I think, a little bit better. Remember, Missouri came in that place and kicked their butt. It's going to have to be a little bit better.
Talking about Kentucky, yes.
Yeah, went into that place went to Kentucky and kicked their butt just the week before.
Right.
So Tennessee's going to have to take it up another level to win that game at Missouri and then set up a very big game.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Diana Rossini from The Athletic. We'll get into the Titans and the NFL trade deadline with her. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game. Right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Lee Company is the trusted expert for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and general maintenance for facilities throughout Kentucky and Tennessee. Our technology and expertise guides facility owners and managers to smart decisions. When you need a reliable partner to keep your facility profitable and running 24/7, we hope you'll think of us. Visit LeeCompany.com to learn more. That's LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need.
We pride ourselves on being transparent, opening up the books, and sharing all the secrets of the diamond industry. We have a passion for this, and part of having a passion is sharing that passion.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper says, at Genesis, you don't just get an entry-level course in diamonds, you get a PhD.
We love educating our customers, even over-educating our customers about diamonds and gemstones, so they can truly see the difference in what we offer.
At Genesis, diamonds are not a side business. It's their only business.
We eat, breathe, and sleep diamonds.
So whether you end up buying at Genesis or not, Come for the education.
The better educated we can make you at Genesis Diamonds, the better a shopper you're going to be, whether you shop with us or anyone else. You will be able to tell the difference and know what you are buying, so you make the best decision for you.
Genesis Diamonds, proud to offer one of the largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds in the nation, with no middleman markups, no retail pricing games, no commission salespeople, and no nonsense. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Prince's Hot Chicken is Nashville's original hot chicken restaurant, serving up the gold standard of hot chicken for almost 100 years. Whether you get their tenders, wings, whole chicken, their Andre chicken sandwich, or one of their fabulous sides, you will not be disappointed with this Nashville staple. Ranging from plain to mild to hot, Prince's has something for everyone. There's even the XXX hot flavor for the adventurous types. You've been warned. Prince's Hot Chicken has multiple locations in Nashville, with their newest location now open in the Tanger Outlets in Antioch. Prince's, Nashville's original hot chicken.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about two things: the one-of-a-kind wood-fired flavor of a Traeger Ironwood XL grill, and football. That's right, Desmond Howard. Get fired up for the game in just a tap with Traeger's intuitive touchscreen. Then throw on your favorites and monitor the grill from anywhere with Wi-Fi technology. So you spend less time staring at the grill, which means more time for football. Upgrade your Saturday with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Save on stuff you really need and stuff you bought for fun. Stuff you've always really wanted this holiday at Amazon. Stuff that is discounted if you're naughty or you're nice. Stuff to buy your grandma who drinks her Chardonnay with ice. Stuff to make you big and strong. Stuff we can't name in this song. Stuff for lawns and decking halls. Save big on stuff at Amazon. Stuff.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Tuesday morning. It's NFL trade deadline day, and to help us talk more about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Diana Rossini from The Athletic. Diana, good morning. Happy Halloween. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Boo to all of you guys. And hopefully Halloween in the Nashville area is filled with lots of fun and good trick-or-treating, knowing Titans coming off a nice big win.
Yep, no question about that. So let's just start there. What did you think of Will Levis, his performance on Sunday against the Falcons, and how do you think what we saw on Sunday may impact what the Titans do at the trading deadline?
Yeah, I was a little taken aback in terms of how well he performed. Not saying that I didn't have that belief in him, but just for a young rookie like that with no experience as a starter to be able to come out and have, offensive coordinator Tim Kelly really just put him in a situation, where he didn't have to make a lot of hard reads, but he did such a good job of just taking those shots. And I just thought that was such good game planning from Tim Kelly, but also obviously for Will to be able to handle that pressure, go in there on alumni weekend, throwback unis, all of that. I certainly was impressed, and just the vibe in the building since that win is certainly changed compared to what it was a week ago when I think there was a lot of conversations being had about what this team is. The Titans have always been consistent about their identity. While I don't really think it's ever been perfect, we know that, and there's always been challenges along the way, but they've always kind of known who they are, and they always kind of play with a certain type of edge to them. And just my opinion, I didn't really see it that much this season. In fact, that was really one of my biggest concerns when I take a look around the league. I kind of look at Tennessee and go, nope, they're not really who they are, and they got to figure out who they are, and that's always such a big challenge. And Sunday, the Titans figured out who they are again, and that looks like the team that they want to be. So with that being said, Will Levis's performance, how does that change the future of this organization? I think there's hope. I think there's belief. I never really thought it was a fire sale coming out of Tennessee anyway. But I think in terms of moving forward, keeping important pieces is going to be part of the program.
Okay, so yeah, that was my question, Danny, because obviously Kevin Byard, it's that happens, and you're thinking, especially as you just said, the way they've been playing. Okay, well, they're looking toward the future. Then they play well. They come out with fire. The rookie plays extremely well at quarterback. I think it makes sense to keep, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, pieces like that on offense, even if you're not winning this year, to help him. But you could look at some of those veterans on defense maybe still and move, and get some more draft capital. You think the Titans are probably standing pat today?
No, I think they're taking calls, actually. I do. I think, Joe, you're spot on with how they're going to probably approach it, which is you keep guys like Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins, pieces that can help Will continue to produce here coming up, especially obviously on a short week. And, we'll discuss what they're going to do, I'm sure, later when Ryan comes back from injury of what they're, what situation they're going to be put in based on what I think Will does on Thursday. But, from talking to other GMs around the league about what Rand has been, how he's kind of been handling business, it really sounds like he's open. He's definitely listening. He's picking up the phone. This isn't a situation where they're just like, no, we're rolling with our guys. They're just really trying to get good compensation, knowing that they need draft capital. And there's certainly a tone coming out of Tennessee where they know they need it. So do I think his asking prices are going to be out of this world where people are just hanging up? No, which is why I think he's still working the phones today, because I do think they want to get some deals done to put themselves in a good position here coming up. And talking to other GMs outside of Tennessee, you always hear, like, especially headed into this past weekend, headed into week 8, they kept telling me, like, we got to see what happens with this weekend's game. And I sometimes I kind of, not sometimes, but I was doubting a little bit of that, because I do think a lot of these GMs have their plan in place. But I will say yesterday, so many conversations I had were different from what I was having on Friday. Guys that were keeping their pieces were selling, and guys that weren't really sure they wanted to buy were back in the game to start looking to improve their team. So it's really become interesting this time of year to look at how the approach is. But I think for Nashville specifically, or at least the team in Nashville, the approach here is, we want to see what Will can do. We want to win. They're never gonna lose, especially with Mike Vrabel being their head coach. But they know that they're going to have to make some type of move here to get some draft capital.
Diana, to that point, I mean, we've talked a lot here about, Vrabel and the regime change last year with John Robinson moving out and maybe some added responsibility from Vrabel from a personnel standpoint. What have been your impressions on that partnership between Carthon and Vrabel, and how much do you think we learn about Vrabel, maybe the evaluator, moving forward, not only with this deadline, but as that relationship continues to grow?
So I haven't gotten any information from other teams that Vrabel has a heavy hand in the roster and in picking who, whether it's the draft or free agency or now. Like, he's always here. I mean, you guys cover him. You know his personality. He's strong and is very matter of fact. There's no gray area with Mike. It's he knows what he wants. But the way it's been explained to me from other teams is Rand Carthon is running it. And he is the general manager of the Tennessee Titans for a reason, and that organization believes in him. I know Mike Vrabel believes in him. So while I think Mike is always going to probably have an opinion and a say, Rand is running the show, and that's exactly the way it should be. But in terms of the dynamic, I have never gotten a sense from being around them, from talking to them, from when I've been in Nashville, that there's a problem. In fact, I think they have a really good marriage. In a good situation for two people that really didn't know each other. I think they've done a really good job. And even I was at the owners meeting in New York about a week ago and talking to some people in connection with the Titans there. And And while things aren't going really well in terms of the win-loss column, I know that part of what this organization's direction is, they feel really good about. So I think if you're a Titans fan and you're maybe worried that there's issues in the building about a power struggle, that's all rumor. That is not at all what I've been sensing coming out of that building.
So, Diana, Minnesota Vikings, just awful injury for Kirk Cousins. And they just, if they don't make a quarterback move, I just don't see them being any kind of factor in a playoff race. They've got themselves into this position. Do you anticipate them being aggressive today, looking at anybody? And I haven't heard Ryan Tannehill throwing. That's my thought, obviously, that he actually could help them. Do you think there's any chance that becomes a thought?
Sure was my thought too. So we were thinking the same thing, and I think a lot of people were, because it makes sense. But I don't get a feel that Minnesota is going to make that move. I know they've been working around the clock. I'd say pretty much since Sunday night, trying to figure out what they're going to do here. And there was an emotional toll to this that I expected, but it has hit this team. And I do think it's going to change the direction of how Minnesota conducts business. They still want to win. Kevin O'Connell is so competitive, but they're another team right now that has to think about the future. So, look, they can ride with their rookie quarterback if they need to. I know they're poking around. I don't think they're going to make a significant trade. I don't think that's going to be in their plan. It could happen, of course, guys. We know it can. The trade deadlines, we still have a few hours here for them to make a move if that's what they really want to do. But based on some of the conversations I had around the league and even just reading tea leaves, quite frankly, it doesn't really seem like that's going to be something that they're going to move forward on and try to give up a lot of picks to try to salvage this season, knowing that they've been part of, kind of a competitive rebuild this whole year anyway. They're going to keep trying to win. But again, I don't see them calling Rand and going, all right, we're willing to take on all of this and take Ryan Tannehill, even though I think we all know that would have been a really good move, but I don't think it would make a lot of sense for them right now.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to call a shot. Not reporting, just call a shot. The biggest move of today is what?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I hate calling shots. It's the worst.
We won't hold you to it.
Well, you know what it is? You know what happens? People will, edit it, right? So it's like, Rossini says Jimmy Garoppolo back to New England.
We'll just blame
I like
Rexrode.
that one. I like that one.
Okay, here's where I am watching, or let's just say we'll call it hovering right now. I am hovering Washington. I think they're going to make a move today. I do think that they're going to try to move, one of their D linemen. I know there's interest, so I am interested in that. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens there. But as I had a GM say to me yesterday, the trade deadline is a lot like movie theater popcorn. It smells so damn good. It just doesn't taste that great. So it all is been, and guys, I have to say, covering this for years, this has been one of the more fun ones because there's so much chatter going on. I haven't had this many people talking about, oh man, I'd love to make this guy. I'd love to make this move. But I don't think it's going to be as exciting. Unfortunately, I think the costumes all of our kids are wearing are way more exciting than what we'll see come 4:00. But you never know. You never know. So, look, I could see Tennessee making a move. I just don't think it's going to be a big, significant one.
Well, Diana, we know you're busy. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon. Have fun today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Bye, Joe.
All right. Thanks, Diana.
Diana Rossini, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Here's what we'll do. We'll react to what Diana had to say there. We'll move Joe Rexrode's rant around a little bit.
Move the rant?
We'll move the rant a little bit.
The rant is moved.
We're going to move the rant a little bit later in the show. We'll get to that around 8:30 today. But some interesting stuff there from Diana Rossini that we'll react to. She says the Titans could be taking some calls today in advance of the trade deadline. We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025, our phone number. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode.
It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace.
Dominic Cavity.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Fast-paced health provides easy access to quality care close to home. The streets you live on are the streets we live on. We're part of the baseball games and Main Street parades. Your community is our community, and it's our mission to provide you with quick, convenient, and affordable health care. We're here for the injuries and illnesses, the preventative treatments, the chronic conditions, and so much more. Fast-paced health.
2 new locations, Antioch and Mount Juliet. Teddy's Tavern, downtown's newest bar with an old Nashville feel, is conveniently located across the street from Bridgestone Arena and just blocks away from the pedestrian bridge. Get a taste of the new brunch menu to fuel your Titans Day pride on game day. Pre-game specials from 9 a.m. till kickoff when the Titans play at home include 2-for-1 draft beers, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. Teddy's Tavern is where you want to be before every Titans home game, so come downtown early and meet me at Teddy's.
Out on the trail this morning, the cool fall air whispered to this old cowboy that fall is here and it's time for football tailgates, bonfires, and hockey nights in Nashville. And when it comes to my adult beverages, you can bet your snakeskin boots that I'm going to be loading my wagon at Red Spirits and Wine. At Red, I can always find what wets my whistle, whether I'm in the mood for a great single-barrel whiskey, a fine bottle of vino, a smooth smoking cigar, or a growler of my favorite craft brew. Red's got you covered when it comes to selection and price, but it's Red's Cracker Jack crew that always gives me the best service and recommendations. Heck, I could tell you all the great things about Red until I'm blue in the face, but I reckon you just need to see the best darn water and depot for yourself. That's Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard, or online at Instagram, Facebook, and redspirits.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A lot of schools talk about training the cybersecurity workforce of the future, but do they really deliver? My Computer Career has been supplying the IT workforce with thousands of skilled, certified pros for 15 years. Train with the experts in support, networking, or cybersecurity and start your career in months, not years. Upskill even faster. On campus or live online, qualified students may get financial aid, including the GI Bill. My Computer Career. Accredited, acclaimed, effective. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I think for Nashville specifically, or at least the team in Nashville, the approach here is, we want to see what Will can do. We want to win. They're never gonna lose, especially with Mike Vrabel being their head coach. But they know that they're going to have to make some type of move here to get some draft capital.
That was Diana Rossini from The Athletic with us in the last segment. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Joe, what'd you make of what Rossini had to say there about the Titans heading into the deadline? Seems like, according to her, that she thinks the Titans could be fielding some calls today, and maybe we could see a move or two by the Titans. Didn't expect a huge move by the Titans today, but maybe a couple of more moves leading to some more draft capital.
Yeah, well, certainly I think all the GMs have to be on the phone
Sure.
and all that and be open to things. I mean, I feel like the text line is hard on the go get Devontae Adams, become a buyer and go get Devontae Adams. I think every single fan base, right?
Yeah.
Like 31 other fan bases, get Devontae Adams.
He's pretty darn good.
Lions should have tried to keep him in town last night. But, yeah, it's this would line up with the idea of maybe one or two more guys on defense possibly of interest. I mean, you brought up Danico Autry from the start, and That's one that I could see being of interest for some teams out there. So she's talking about Washington, by the way.
Yep.
So are we talking Jonathan Allen over here?
Well, I think he'd probably enjoy that.
Yeah, sounds like it. He's about sick of that bleep.
He's about sick of being with the Commanders.
But tell you what, whoever gets – Seattle getting Leonard Williams –
it's a big deal.
I love that for Seattle. That is a trading deadline. That's where they're kind of weak, and they've got a lot of other things to like about that team.
Yeah.
The right team gets Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen is a monster.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she didn't say that, but that's what came to mind. She's talking about the D-line.
Yep.
My goodness. So those are big ads, but Danico Autry for somebody would be a significant ad. Tier Tart would be a significant ad. Again, if Jeffrey Simmons right now is sitting there today like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And, some interesting stuff from her also on the Vrabel Carthon situation.
Yep, let's hear those comments now from Diana Rossini. She was just on with us here on the program. Had some interesting comments on the Vrabel Carthon dynamic. Here's what Rossini had to say with us just a few minutes ago. What have been your impressions on that partnership between Carthon and Vrabel, and how much do you think we learn about Vrabel, maybe the evaluator, moving forward, not only with this deadline, but as that relationship continues to grow?
So I haven't gotten any information from other teams that Vrabel has a heavy hand in the roster and in picking who, whether it's the draft or free agency or now. Like, he's always you guys cover him. You know his personality. He's strong and is very matter of fact. There's no gray area with Mike. It's he knows what he wants. But the way it's been explained to me from other teams is Rand Carthon is running it. And he is the general manager of the Tennessee Titans for a reason, and that organization believes in him. I know Mike Vrabel believes in him. So while I think Mike is always going to probably have an opinion and a say, Rand is running the show, and that's exactly the way it should be. But in terms of the dynamic, I have never gotten a sense from being around them, from talking to them, from when I've been in Nashville, that there's a problem. In fact, I think they have a really good marriage. In a good situation for two people that really didn't know each other. I think they've done a really good job.
So that was Diana Rossini with us in the last segment. Joe, what did you make of those comments on the Vrabel-Carthon dynamic, and Carthon making some decisions, and according to what she said there, sounds like he's running the show.
Yeah. Well, look, multiple things can be true with something like that too, right? Like, so let's go to San Francisco. John Lynch and his staff, which used to include Rand Carthon, they do all the work.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then when it comes down to it, Kyle Shanahan is going to get his way if push comes to shove. And I believe that to be true here. So what she said isn't inconsistent with the idea that Vrabel got more power when John Robinson was fired, and that Vrabel, she said he has a say. I mean, I think he, if it comes down to it, has the say. But is Rand Carthon? Yeah, Rand Carthon's the GM. These calls to other GMs, it's not Vrabel.
Sure.
Say, hey, Rand, okay, I'll take over GM duties for a couple hours here. I want to talk to some of these other GMs. No, Rand brought in people who are here. It's an entire staff of people. Now, there's a lot of scouts who are still here from the previous regime, but, they're doing all the work on this stuff. Vrabel still, it's, I believe, different than it was under John Robinson in terms of Vrabel's level of say. So again, if things go well, that's great, right? Regardless, you hope that you have conversations and the word that we like to use, collaboration, to get to answers on whatever draft, free agency, players, and you come to an agreement. And then when you lose, that's where people are really like, okay, whose fault is this? Who did this, right? So it's just starting out. But I think it's a good point from Diana, on the shortness of relationship here. It's a tough situation for like a Rand Carthon in a way to come in to the GM just got fired. The coach has been here and has done very well, so his dynamic changes, and you're coming in new into that situation. It is very early. And he came into a roster that was flawed, that had all kinds of issues because his predecessor really had a bad run at the end of his run. So, I mean, it's a challenging situation. Last week there was like, oh, Rappaport has this, and where'd that come? I mean, stuff like that, you got to be able to overcome stuff like that. Whatever happened there, you got to be able to overcome it and, well, collaborate. So, look.
So you don't think we've learned anything new with the comments there from Rossini about Carthon and his role?
Well, no. I mean, running the show is like I've never thought Vrabel was the GM. Like Vrabel is. Yeah, I've never thought Vrabel was like Belichick doing that job, doing two jobs. I just think that Vrabel is number one on the list, on the flow chart. I do think that. So I guess, does that contrast what Diana just said? Maybe. But again, the whole operation of personnel, of course, is ran.
Yeah, I mean, the operation for sure. Like, I do wonder, and this is something that I guess we still just we don't know. We think we know. Yeah. Like when push comes to shove, and there's a move that Carthon wants to make, and Vrabel doesn't want to do it, or the other way around, that Vrabel wants to make and Carthon doesn't want to do it. I mean, they're going Vrabel, right?
I think.
Was that
we've talked about this before? Yes, except that I also think that, I mean, if you really are trying to collaborate, if you're Vrabel, I think sometimes you do have to say, all right, okay, let's go with your way this way. I mean, that's what
I think
should
sometimes
do.
too. But
that's what you should do.
I agree, but I mean, there's if there hasn't been yet, there's going to come a time where there's a disagreement between those two on how to handle whether it's a contract, a player, a draft pick, whatever it is. And I am interested to see, what happens in that situation. It's Vrabel, right?
Vrabel.
Yeah. So, is he really running the show?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, now we're getting into semantics.
I know.
Right?
I'm just saying. Like,
we're getting into semantics. Yeah, like the idea, like what she didn't say there was Rand Carthon is in charge and his word is final.
Right.
That's different than he runs the show.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's very semantics now. But this is fun. We can spin this off into conversation. Yeah, Vrabel. Okay. I mean, when it comes down to it, he if there's an absolute I totally disagree with you, then I believe that Vrabel wins out.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll take more of your thoughts, your reaction to Diana Rossini on the program and what she had to say about the Titans heading into the deadline. We'll give our thoughts on the deadline as well. Deadline coming up today at 3 o'clock. Will the Titans make any moves? More on that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team. You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Birds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
The Nashville Predators faced the Toronto Maple Leafs, knowing that it was going to be a tough struggle against one of the best clubs in the National Hockey League, maybe the best overall talent, and the game was tied at 2, forcing an overtime period. And who was able to decide it but the team captain? Austin Matthews with the puck. Tried to flip it around. Tommy Novak, who blocked it. Now Novak cutting to the net. The puck is dropped back for Roman Josi. He scores! Roman Josi in overtime. And the Predators beat the Toronto Maple Leafs here tonight, 3-2. That's the way to get your first goal of the year. Roman Josi gets his first of the year from Evangelista and Novak. Predators now head out on the road.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
When it comes to shopping for home and auto insurance, the companies that usually come to mind can only offer one coverage option. So, if you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time, but not with Zander Insurance. Zander is a broker that works for you, shopping dozens of top-rated companies to find you the best rates this year and every year so your price stays competitive, keeping your life simple and hassle-free. Compare rates all in one place at Zander.com, or for a more personal touch, call 800-356-1780.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Now, your Game Center update.
I'm Nick Keyser. A blockbuster deal went down in the NBA overnight as the Philadelphia 76ers traded James Harden to the Los Angeles Clippers. Adrian Wojnarowski joined ESPN's Unsportsmanlike this morning discussing the trade.
They've got James Harden now to go with Paul George, with Kawhi Leonard, who both been healthy to start the season, Russell Westbrook, who has played with Harden in two different places, OKC and Houston, and now they think they have a team in LA that has enough firepower to compete with the elite.
And the NFL trade deadline is today, with teams having until 3 p.m. to make their deals. According to Jeremy Fowler, cornerback Jalen Johnson has requested the trade out of the Chicago Bears organization, and the Nashville Predators have embarked on their 5-game road trip, starting things off against the Vancouver Canucks tonight with pregame at 8 and puck drop at 9, right here for your home of the Preds on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Got Preds Pick the Click coming up later this morning at 8:45. Your chance to participate, win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Pick the Click brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. List your home with TJ to get your home seen, heard, and sold. We'll do that today at 8:45. The Rex Rant has been moved to 8:30.
Hey, speaking of rant, guess who's showed up in the text line? Who? Indy Ben.
Oh, boy.
All right,
what we got?
Let me read Indy Ben. Quote, Vrabel certainly has final say on personnel decisions. To think otherwise at this point is foolish. That's partially why they've struggled fixing the O-line. To the trade led down that, I don't see the Titans trading Tannehills. It would be stupid to bank on Levis after one single good game. Let's see what he looks like over a span of multiple games when he actually faces good pressure and quality secondary play. Yeah, Indy Ben. See, you started out with like your Vrabel personnel, but really you wanted to hate on Will Levis.
I like it.
I love it. I want to know, Indy Ben, did you want Levis? Did you want Levis? That's what we had. Gunner came with receipts from draft night saying all these Indy fans were mad because they wanted Levis. Actually, there was a lot of Colts Levis talk, I remember, around draft time. Remember this?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. It's going to be so fun in this division, by the way, including because of you, Indy Ben. You help the fun.
You do.
But just Levis, Levis, Stroud, Richardson, and Trevor. Those 4 quarterbacks for a few years. See who's better.
Robert, upset with you on the text line. Says, going back to the conversation, I think Robert's original point was that Vrabel does not have the power that most people think he does in the Titans organization. Robert says, I don't see how the media can't see this. Rand's the guy. Vrabel doesn't have the power everyone thinks. I look at it as if Robinson got fired, Amy brought somebody in that Mike thought he could work well with. If things go right, Vrabel stays. But if not, Rand will bring his guy in. And then went on a bunch of stuff after that. But what do you think of that?
That's one of those, I'm not reading all that, but I'm sorry if you're in trouble. Or congratulations. Yeah, look, you can speculate however you want. That's not accurate. I mean, it's just not. So, look, and it's funny because now we have this other text, and I agree with this one. I wish fans would realize Rand cannot fire Vrabel. You know, he's not his boss. Amy is. Well, I agree with that. I mean, if you had an organizational flow chart, I suppose you could have them next to each other. You do, now, it was Robinson over Vrabel. These guys, I guess, technically, these guys would be on the same line. Okay,
sure,
and I think that's fine. But yeah, I agree. Rand's not coming to like, you know what, Vrabel, get out of here. Amy's firing Vrabel if Vrabel gets fired. So now we got Vrabel on the hot seat. Again, it's guys. Look, this is there are a lot of places in this league where it's like this. Okay, where you have GMs. I mean, what's his name with New Orleans, whose name is eluding me now. It was the same situation. He was the GM. He got the bouquets for what they did in personnel and all that stuff. And Sean Payton ultimately got his way. It's Shanahan. It's McVay. It's Carroll. There are others. Obviously, Belichick is actually technically the GM. That's different. But, yeah. I mean, we can sit here, go around and around, and we can guess about who says what or who picked this guy or that guy. You can go back to the Robinson thing. And there are some Vrabel input situations that had to do with them taking some players, okay?
Yeah.
It's different now.
Speaking of Amy, how about this quote? We'll have Charles on Thursday to ask him more about this.
Oh, yeah, let's get into this.
But what do you make of – apparently this is from Charles Robinson on the Michael Smith podcast. And he was talking about Will Levis and how Will Levis ended up here in Nashville. And here's the quote. It's interesting, too, the way he ended up with the Titans. I mean, I don't know if this story will ever get fully told. I think it was very much this was an ownership-inspired draft pick. I do believe that. This is what Charles Robinson had to say on Will Levis being drafted by the Titans. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, I think that was something that people were talking about. People were talking.
They were.
Right after the draft. It's very interesting that Charles said that.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask him about it.
We will have to ask him about that on Thursday.
If that was Amy saying, hey, guys, I want my quarterback, and I want him now. I don't care what you think. No, you're not taking a receiver in the second round. You're taking a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, through one game, she looks like a genius.
Right now, everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right now, it's like, hey, Amy Adams-Strunk needs to go all Jerry Jones on this thing then.
Mike, I'm in charge now. I'm making personnel decisions.
That's a good Amy
Get out of the way.
Good Amy Adams-Strunk
I
impersonation there.
I can do a Southern accent.
Texas accent. Yeah, a little bit.
Do that.
Yeah, Mickey Loomis. Thank you, Mark. Mickey Loomis in New Orleans with Sean Payton ultimately getting his way. That's the right way to look at it. Rand running the show? Yes. He's the GM. He has a whole staff. Analytics are beefed up. All that stuff. And then Mike has a say here, folks.
All right, so with all that being said, how do you view the deadline today for the Titans? See, Rossini came on with us, talked about how Titans going to be taking calls. Maybe somebody gets moved. She doesn't expect any big moves like Derrick Henry or anything like that. But how do you view the deadline today? And we've talked about Autry and Tart, and I think those two could be one of those things that absolutely could be a possibility for the Titans today. Let me throw another one at you. What about Fulton? Because I think Fulton, I think you and I both agree, is not going to be here after this year based on the injuries and everything that's gone down. I do think he's responded and has played pretty well in the last 2 weeks. We've not been talking about, Christian Fulton coverage bust the last couple of weeks. Do you think there, number one, is any interest in Fulton league-wide? And number two, what would it take if you're the Titans to pull the trigger and move on that today?
Yeah, no, I think he definitely should be mentioned along with Autry and Tart. And I could see there being interest. He's a talented player. He's played better since that stuff. I know some fake coaches would have benched him right away and said, "Sit down, son. Trey Avery's on the field." But he has responded. I thought he played well the other day. He's a talented player. Last year, the deal. You know, if you do that, you've really weakened your secondary. I mean, you've moved Byard, and now you've moved your most talented corner, your most talented outside corner. You'd be looking at Sean Murphy-Bunting. McCreary.
By the way, McCreary just missed a game.
McCreary just missed a game, and so you wonder about if he'll be able to play in this one too, by the way. So you do that, you might be down, McCreary, Fulton, Byard.
That's not good.
No, now you might be facing Mitch Trubisky, so maybe it wouldn't hurt you as much as it could in other games. But, yeah, I think that's a possibility. I could see there being interest, and if it's all about the return, what's a good return for Christian Fulton? What's an acceptable return for Christian Fulton?
Oh, I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, could they get anything better than a 5th-round pick for Christian Fulton?
I don't know. I mean, I do like compiling picks. Yes, if you have the more you have, the more flexibility you have to do things. I do kind of feel like today you should. It's funny because I'm looking last night watching Max Crosby. Probably, even though the Raiders are trash, probably it might have been the best player in the field. There's a 4th round. There's a nice 4th-round pick for you. I do feel like
should you aim a little higher if you're the
like
Titans
a
today?
4th-round pick would be good if you could get that for somebody. 4th or higher, obviously, but it's hard. It's hard to get a lot higher than that if you're not trading a premium.
I mean,
player.
I think there's a player they have that could do that. I think they could get a 3rd or 4th-round pick for Hopkins. I just don't think they're going to trade him.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I could be wrong.
No, I think the way he's played this year, I mean, look, if I'm Kansas City after that last game and just kind of looking around like, the AFC is not gifted to you. Mahomes is amazing. He can do a lot with a little, but, he might need somebody.
Well, and Charles Robinson said on our show last week that there's a lot of interest right now in wide receivers heading into the deadline. Now, interest is one thing. Like, how many of those guys actually get moved, right? Whether that's the extreme of Devontae Adams or whoever. Like, how many wide receivers actually get moved today? I don't know. Like, I look at it as the Titans, unless they just get blown away by an offer for Hopkins or Henry or whoever. I mean, I think on the offensive side of the ball, after what we saw Sunday, they're probably keeping those guys around. But, I mean, I do think, what if somebody got desperate and they offered you something for Hopkins that you just couldn't turn down? What's the balance of that versus what he could do for Levis out there on the field?
Yeah, I mean, if someone's so desperate they're willing to overpay, I mean, I think you have to weigh these things based on that. Like, if someone wanted to give you a 2nd for Hopkins, you can say, hey, you know what, Burks, NWI, Chris Moore gets a bigger role, and the rookie can still has some people to throw to. By golly. I think you could rationalize it.
Think Burks could get a catch?
That would probably
get a ball
need to happen.
There?
Kyle Phillips.
Yeah.
Kyle Phillips still on the team. This texter, I like this idea. Fulton to San Francisco. I'd say if there's a place where they're not, because obviously they're banged up now. They've lost 3 in a row.
Yep.
They're going to get some people back, but that's where they're not great. Now, is he some huge upgrade? Not necessarily, but I could see him helping them. And obviously, Rand knows that organization well, so that's not a bad thought.
615-737.
Stonehouse for a first. There we go.
Yes. 615-737-1025, our phone number. More of your thoughts on the Titans. It is NFL trade deadline day. What do you expect the Titans to do? What do you hope the Titans do today? 615-737-1025, our phone number. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
Lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue are 102.5 The Game's official home for Predators watch parties. Catch all the games at Brewhouse and enjoy great specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey beer.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
If you're just tuning in, this is Fan 23, Fansville's #1 sports radio station.
Brought to you by Tasty Dr. Pepper.
We are settling the great debate, best third quarter snack, hot dogs or nachos?
You know my mantra, Doug.
Yes.
Meaty early, cheesy late.
Well, it looks like we have a caller here to weigh in. Is this Chuck?
Popcorn in the third is the move.
What?
You go with passive snacking after halftime.
No, it's nachos.
Look, as long as there's an ice cold Dr. Pepper there to wash it down, I'm good with either. Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join 102.5 The Game this Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the grand opening of Fast Pace Healthcare at 3556 Murfreesboro Pike in Antioch. Stop by and enter for your chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game and other prizes as well. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 8:30. A little bit of an audible today. Had Diana Rossini on at 7:30. If you missed that, you can check it out on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Robby and Rexrode. It is deadline day. Happy Halloween. NFL trading deadline day today. The deadline at 3 p.m. Central Time. Will the Titans make any moves? Do you want to see the Titans make any moves today heading into the deadline? You know, offensively, I don't expect much to happen today. Defensively, could it be an Autry? Could it be a Tart? Let's say it's like Autry, okay? So Autry gets a move today, and you get whatever that would be, 4th rounder, 5th rounder, whatever it would be back for Autry. And now you've moved Byard and Autry. How do you view that Titans defense with the hole that would leave? You know, the secondary, I thought for the first part of the game, though, they looked pretty good. And then Heineke came in, and they started to make some plays. I mean, there's no question they're a weaker secondary without Kevin Byard. If the Titans do more dismantling to the defensive side of the ball today, how much damage do you think that does to this defense?
Yeah, I mean, Autry's been a heck of a player for the Tennessee Titans. So, not like he's out wrecking games, but he makes big plays often, and he's been a very good partner with Jeffrey Simmons up there, and he's versatile. You can move him around. One of the things we talked about going into the season, okay, at some point does he diminish a little bit? He's getting up there. I still think he's a very impactful player. So, I think that, with Autry and with Tart, good possibility, that next year, they're both in different places regardless of what happens today.
Yep.
So from that perspective, it makes sense. And it makes sense if you can get a good deal to set yourself up for the next draft. Very important draft, very important offseason. Yeah, but the defense would definitely take a hit. At some point, Byard, Autry, Tart, Fulton, Byard, and even one of those guys. And there's just no question that you have weakened your defense.
It doesn't sound like there's any interest in Ryan Tannehill. And the Minnesota, we've talked about the Atlanta possibility with Ritter being benched the other day. They went with Heineke, the familiarity that Arthur Smith has with Tannehill. We've also talked about Minnesota with Kirk Cousins going down. And number one, that's an interesting team to watch today at quarterback in general, just to see, do they make a move, whether it's trading for Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston or whoever it would be. Does Minnesota make a move, or do they stick with what they have? Are you surprised, though, that it doesn't feel like, and there's been really no smoke whatsoever to like Tannehill to the Vikings today based on the Cousins injury, the schedule we laid out yesterday for Minnesota, very manageable schedule as they move forward here. Are you surprised that it doesn't sound like that's even a thought for the Vikings?
A little that there's not any sort of, like momentum for it. And again, it's momentum that we're perceiving from the outside, but usually if it's mentioned anywhere, it gets out a little bit and you have some kind of conversation about it. Doesn't appear at this point there's anything for it. Sometimes there's no conversation around something, and it happens. But like Diana, who has done reporting on the Vikings, previously, makes it sound like they're, I guess, standing pat.
No.
Which to me is like, I have to perceive that as, what? The NFC, I don't think they're looking at the Lions, but maybe the Eagles, the Niners, Cowboys. It's not going to happen this year, especially like Cousins was playing
great
at a high level. So I think they must be looking at like, what? Take some lumps and get a good pick. And they've got to figure out their quarterback for the future. So obviously Tannehill doesn't solve that, and they must not view Ryan Tannehill as a guy who can come close to the level Cousins was playing at. I would argue that he could with that offensive line and those weapons. But as we know, there are certainly GMs in this league, based on some comments and a lot of comments over the years, some GMs in this league think very little of Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. And, that leads into the Levis-Tannehill discussion of, we talked about Vrabel's comments from yesterday. What does he do when when Tannehill is healthy again? What does that decision look like between Levis and Tannehill? And it was interesting yesterday. He said that Levis is going to be the starter on Thursday if Tannehill can't go. Which, by the way, we didn't mention the injury report for the Titans, keeping in mind that these are all just like projected designations because they didn't actually practice. But Ryan Tannehill given the did not practice ankle designation yesterday. So he's not going to play on Thursday. But if it starts to heal up after that and he's in a spot where he could potentially play next week against Tampa Bay, what does that decision look like? What is the path to Ryan Tannehill playing quarterback again for the Tennessee Titans? Most fans would probably say at this point, there is no path. Will Levis should be the quarterback, and that should be the way the Titans move on from here. I am interested to see how Vrabel handles that and how much of that has to do with the way Will Levis looks on Thursday against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's that threading the needle of team winning, team getting back into the mix and having a real chance to get to the postseason, but rookie quarterback is not wide. In fact, they're winning despite the rookie quarterback, who suddenly reverts to looking like a rookie quarterback and is bad. And since you're in it, but that's your problem, you go back to your starter. I think that's a very narrow pathway. Yeah. So, right now, force me to guess, I'm going to guess that Ryan Tannehill's taking his last snap for the Titans. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing that. I don't feel great. I wouldn't put a high percentage on that, but that would be my guess right now. Real quick, good question here from Ed on would the Titans trade timeline be more advanced? You know, this is an off day in a normal NFL week for teams.
Correct.
Titans, it's not. Titans, it's a practice day. So the deadline's 3. The Titans practice today at 2. So it's an interesting point. I mean, is it like Rand's deadline is actually 2 because they practice at 2? I mean, it's not like understand, especially in a week like this, practice is not going to be heavy intensity. Okay, so you could still be on the practice field, I guess, and be like, Derek,
we need to see you.
Derek, hey, here's your ticket to Baltimore. Like these are paper tickets or something. Here's your plane ride to Baltimore. See you later, buddy. Thanks for your service. But it's an interesting point, just the fact that you're in a short week and it's a different kind of day and you're actually on the practice field today.
Well, Jake on the text line says, I think if anything, it's Tart. Premium on interior defensive linemen right now. You already have your stud in Jeff. I bet the Leonard Williams deal got Rand's wheels turning a little bit. This from Jake in Greenbrier. What do you think of that?
Well, I think anybody out there doing their homework can look at Tier Tart and think, you know, he can help them. So you might be able to do okay with that one. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that.
Well, Leonard Williams got
there's a different level of player.
Different level. Like T.R. Tart is not getting this. Leonard Williams went to the Seahawks in exchange for a 2024 second rounder and a 5th rounder in 2025. T.R. Tart is not going to get that, but could you get a 4th for him? Could you get a 5th for him? Would you do that if you're Rand Carthon and the Titans? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do kind of like the idea of see if you can get a 4th or better for somebody. Like you said, Hopkins is your best bet, but that one seems less likely than a defensive player if you're thinking in terms of helping the rookie and all that. But I don't know. I mean, you could still make the case to even really consider that.
I'll ask you the same question you asked Rossini. What's the biggest deal that gets done today? Call your shot.
Well, by the way, people have pointed out, and TD texted me, and other people too. You know, I threw out Jonathan Allen. The guys who have been talked about are Sweat and Young for Washington. Yeah, I mean, no one else. I mean, I just don't know of anything else that's like.
Jameis to the Vikings.
I mean, I'd love to see Devontae Adams get his wish and get out of Vegas, but
I don't see that.
I'd love to see it. Yeah. I don't either. So yeah, how about Montez Sweat? He's a good player.
Yeah,
it's not that exciting, but I guess that'd be my guess. How about you?
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards that. I mean, I do wonder, is there a receiver that gets moved today? But I don't think there's going to be anything. The NFL trade deadline, as Diana pointed out earlier, a little bit more excitement this year, just kind of with the hype heading into it. At the end of the day today, I don't think there's going to be all that much that gets done.
No, but it's way better. It actually stuff happens, and it never. I don't know, people didn't even should talk about the trade deadline.
No, it used to be like just a day on the calendar, and you're like, oh yeah, today was the deadline, huh? How about that?
So at least they've made it a little more fun.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. Usually every morning at 7:45. A little bit of an audible today. We will do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Fast-paced health provides easy access to quality care close to home. The streets you live on are the streets we live on. We're part of the baseball games and Main Street parades. Your community is our community, and it's our mission to provide you with quick, convenient, and affordable health care. We're here for the injuries and illnesses, the preventative treatments, the chronic conditions, and so much more. Fast-paced health.
2 new locations, Antioch and Mount Juliet.
Some people just know the perfect time to hit the concession stand. Those are the people who know to choose Allstate.
Woo! Nice! I never miss a touchdown. Want a bite?
Yeah, he knows he's got a sixth sense for a snack break. Just like he knows that switching to Allstate can save drivers $468.
Saving $468 based on the national average annual savings for new auto customers surveyed in 2022 who switched to Allstate. Prices may vary based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one.
Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but
let's put Pastor Derek. They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
It is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant, a special 8:30 edition of the Rex Rant here today on Robby and Rexrode. I don't even know, is this a Clemson fight song? Beautiful, Nick. Way to go.
God, this is not very good.
It's no
not
Rocky
very good
Top.
fight song. No, it's no Rocky Top. Sorry. There's no woo. That's what we got to play, by the way. Did you see the Kentucky fan meltdown?
Oh, yeah.
Get the woo. Get the woo out of here. Woo. No more woo. Oh, man. Good stuff. Well, let's talk about Clemson. And here's the thing. I want to do this because I saw it last night. Everybody went nuts. It's all the reaction. This, we're texting each other. It's all over social media. Dabo Swinney from Clemson goes off on a collar, and because there were sports on, and by the way, I was more watching my Dubs get a big win in New Orleans than I was watching the stupid Lions, overrated Lions, beat the terrible, terrible Raiders. And, real quick, just as I go off on a tangent, man, I'm watching the New Orleans Pelicans and Zion. He's such a good player still. Like, he's good. He's a very good player when he's on the floor, but he's so out of shape. And it's so disappointing. And the guy could be great. And I hope he figures it out. But anyway.
Like those beignets down there.
Man,
New Orleans.
it's just, you gotta. I mean, he's still effective, but he could be a star in the NBA. And I wish he would be. As far as Dabo, I didn't listen to it on purpose because you may know if you listen to the show, I'm not a huge Dabo fan. I think sometimes he's just full of it. But I saw all kinds of reactions. So we've got a limited we're going to make a judgment right now on this, okay? So we got a limited audio because it would take the whole segment to play the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
the whole interaction is like 8 minutes long.
Yeah. So this is a caller last night and then Dabo's reaction to the caller.
Something changed after 2018. You're humble, you're hungry, and everything. And I always told people, man, Dabo, just listen to his press conferences. But after that 2018 national title, something changed, and there seems to be a lot of arrogance that came in. There's a lot of friends and family. I mean, 3 of the 10 on-field football coaches are external, experienced hires. Everyone else was an internal hire that had no experience before or was a former player or friend. So I'm curious, why are we paying you $11.5 million to go 4-4? And it's not just this year. It's been, just the refusal to accept.
All right. What's this guy's name?
Tyler.
Hey, Tyler. I've listened to enough of you, Tyler. Listen, you can have all your opinions that you want. All right. I don't know how old you are. Don't really care. All right. But let me tell you something. We won 11 games last year, and you're part of the problem, to be honest with you, because that is part of the problem. It's people like you that all you do is the appreciation. The expectation is greater than the appreciation, and that's the problem. And so, we've won 12 10-plus win seasons in a row. That's happened 3 times in 150 years. So if you want to know why, Clemson ain't sniffed a national championship for 35 years. We've won 2 in 7 years. And there's only 2 other teams that can say that, Georgia and Alabama. Okay? Is this a bad year? Yeah. And it's my responsibility. Take 100% responsibility for it. But all this bull crap you're thinking, all these narratives you read, listen, man, you can have your opinion all you want. And you can apply for the job. And good luck to you. All right? But to answer your question, all right, we're second in draft picks. We've graduated 98% of our guys. We're second in wins. All right? If you want to know why, again, I'm telling you, we're not perfect. There's a lot of teams that, Frank Howard never had a bad year. Coach Ford never had a bad year. Coach K has never had a bad year in basketball. People have a bad year. But the part of the problem is the appreciation. I used to tell people all the time, they'd say, what's the difference in Clemson? I'm going to tell you. At some places there's an expectation, but at Clemson there's an appreciation.
So that was Dabo Swinney last night on his coach's show.
See, first of all, I'm a little bit disappointed. Like, this is a great example of people just overreact. Like, oh, my God, Dabo unhinged and went off and lost it. I mean.
He did call the kid. I say kid. Whoever Tyler from Spartanburg is.
Tyler might have been 30.
Yeah, I have no idea. He did call him a smartass a few times.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't have a great judgment on that one.
That's your boy.
Well, what always will tell you if somebody's starting to lose it a little bit is when they start talking about the graduation number.
Yeah. He did follow it up with the wins.
Butch and his life champion stuff.
Yeah.
I think Dabo's. If a guy's talking about what are we paying you 11, you're not paying anything, man. Okay. Now,
that was a heck. I encourage you all to go listen to this thing in its entirety. It was a heck of a call and a heck of a response.
So how long? So we got that, and that was the gist of it. How long did that guy talk before Dabo?
Oh, the guy probably talked. I'd bet. I don't know. 4 minutes or so, like 3.5, 4 minutes.
How do you let that go that long?
It went a long time. Like the guy brought out. You was talking about Dabo being a man of faith and brought out like proverbs on him. It was unbelievable. It was a great call.
Yeah. So most of what Dabo said back, I don't blame him. I mean, the only thing is, I just think that I think this is not just a bad year. That's the thing.
They're in trouble.
Yeah. As a program, they are. This is not just some random issue. This I think Clemson's a great example of. Now, they had it rolling in every way. But still, when it comes down to it, do you have a great quarterback or do you have an average or sub-average quarterback? And now you could look at Dabo's tenure and say, yeah, but really it wasn't that good. He had great quarterbacks. That's not true either. They were loaded everywhere, and all of it is going in the wrong way right now. I mean, the recruiting and everything.
They're 16th right now, according to the 24/7 for 2024. They're 16th in recruiting, which they were in.
Not bad.
It's not bad, but they were in top 5.
Yeah, they were always in the top 5. So, look, the bigger issue I have than this, Dabo's getting angry, and frankly, that caller, I think, warrants some anger. The bigger issue I have is when he comes out and says the stupid crap he says about NIL and everything. You know, it's like, okay, well, why don't you just kick yourself in the shin right now? and just the players getting paid. That's the stuff that's way more annoying than this. I don't know. This was disappointing. I'm disappointed in this. It wasn't that good. I rule on the side of Dabo. I'm sorry. I rule for Dabo.
I don't know that's ever happened before on the history of the show.
I know. Exactly. I know. But I will say another thing with Dabo.
You hate Dabo as much as you claim that I hate Marcus.
Well, I don't hate him, but I do think that he's every bit the goober that you think that Shane
Bieber.
is.
Yes.
And I saw Elijah Campbell last night say, I can't wait for the battle of 5 and 6 teams at the end to see who gets into a bowl game. The Clemson South Carolina battle of 5 and 6. Can that happen?
South Carolina getting to 5?
Well, that's a fair. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, they have Jacksonville State, Vanderbilt, Kentucky before then, so maybe.
Yeah, actually they might. Kyle says, just so you know, it got a lot worse. The clip missed a lot of the derogatory words. You said he called him smart-ass much times?
He did.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's probably going too far. But
it was a slow build of anger. He never, went nuts. I think a lot of people, some of the way people were, describing the clip is Dabo was, standing on a table yelling, and that never really happened. But it was the most angry I think I've ever heard him. I'll put it that way.
What about Jeff from Hendersonville says he takes a shot at Tennessee.
He did take
what did he say?
Tennessee did catch a stray in this rant by Dabo. He's going on through the 10-win seasons they've had and the 11-win seasons. We just lost Tennessee last year. They had an 11-win season, first time in 20 years. I was like, geez, thanks, man.
I mean, hey.
He's right. But
yeah, he's not wrong. That's the thing.
Tennessee catching strays in the Dabo rant last night.
Part of this story, look at some of the battles that Tennessee is winning against him in recruiting. They're winning some battles against him in recruiting that they did not win for many years.
Well, I said Clemson was 16th in the recruiting rankings next year. Right now Tennessee's at 12. So, they're out recruiting Clemson at the moment.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know. I hear the ites there, and I feel like he's really trying to get himself into Bama.
He did say at one point, he was talking about, I work for the administration and the board of trustees and all these things. If they ever think I'm not doing a good enough job, all they got to do is let me know. I'll go somewhere else where it's appreciated. I was like, geez.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is. I have no problem. I don't have a big problem with what he did there. I do think it's an indication of a much bigger thing than, we're just having a bad year.
They look bad. Yeah. And I've watched them play a fair amount this year. I heard somebody describing it, and I'm trying to remember where I heard this, but they said they're about as average gets. That's what watching Clemson football. They look like a 6-6 football.
Yeah, just like the ACC most years. Most years it's a bunch of teams like that, and Clemson kills them all. And now they're just NC State.
Oh, and by the way,
they're just Virginia Tech.
They have Notre Dame on Saturday, and then it's Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and South Carolina to close out the year. Notre Dame, they're probably going to lose that game.
Where is that?
It's at Clemson, so we'll see.
Yeah.
North Carolina, they also got that one at home. But, look, there's a scenario where they could be 6-6, maybe 5-7.
Could they be 5-6 going into the South Carolina game? That's what I want to know.
They could be. They're 4-4 right now. You've got Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, North Carolina. They could absolutely lose to Notre Dame and North Carolina.
Yeah, that's the most likely. They'll be favored to be 5-6 going to. Or actually, it is going to South Carolina because South Carolina beat them
at South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina beat them in their stadium last year. Your buddy pulled it off, and boy, did he enjoy it too.
Well, it was who knows? Was Michigan handing signs out for Clemson too, or there was a chance that they could be in the playoff? So, Connor Stallions handing out signs to Beamer for them too. Who knows?
By the way, Connor Stallions, I'm seeing people trying to say it's not it's a too cliche. No, if you have a good Connor Stallions outfit today, you wear that.
Embrace it.
That's timely Halloween costume. Dennis says, Robby and Rexrode used to be a really good show. Then the arrogance set in. My question is, why are we paying you guys millions of dollars to do this show?
Yeah. I asked myself the same question.
Well, look, Dennis, I make $800K. Okay, let's scale it back, buddy. Now, new negotiations, we may get to about 1.2, but let's be real here.
Coming up next, it's time for Pred's Pick to Click. Preds on the road tonight taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Be the first caller at 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. If you guess a goal scorer, you will win a pair of tickets to a future Nashville Predators home game. We'll do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
He knows Nashville sports.
And you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back against the wall game. They're at their best.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They need to go on the road and win a game.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
16 5-star players and 52 4-star players.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
They still have all of the talent.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
How can a half-carat diamond magically grow into a 2-carat diamond? With Genesis Diamond's 110% diamond upgrade guarantee.
Our trade-up policy is the best in the United States.
That's Stasia at Genesis, explaining how if you buy a diamond today and want to trade it in for a bigger one next year, Genesis always gives you back your original purchase price plus an extra 10%.
We will gladly give you every single penny you paid for the diamond plus an extra 10%, which is amazing. No one does that.
As a real-life example, take Stasia's customer Paul.
When he first started, he got a half-carat, and then as he became more successful, we rewarded him. He came in and he got a 3/4 carat, and then he's traded for a carat. I'm sure I'll see him this year for a carat and a half. As they grow and change and become more successful, their engagement ring can grow with them also.
And there's no catch, no minimum trade-up requirement, and it works on diamond studs and diamond pendants as well.
You get every single investment dollar you put into the diamond, you will get an extra 10% towards the new diamond.
Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
You can trade as many times as you wish.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. If you have some things around your home that you've been putting off fixing, like your regular HVAC maintenance or a clogged bathroom drain, Hiller has some big discounts this month. When the temperature drops and you start using your heater for the first time, you do not want to be dealing with breakdown issues, and this month, Hiller is offering half off HVAC tune-up. And Hiller is bringing back their $99 drain cleaning special. These deals only last this month, so be sure to call today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds of Falls and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just steps from the White Bridge Shopping and Dining District of Nashville's Hillwood neighborhood, 80 Brookwood Terrace offers 2 homes with over 4,300 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, formal office, media room, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Bundling and saving with Geico is an easy choice, so you're free to ponder life's big questions, like what's the best animal in the world if not humans? I'd strongly consider ducks to be somewhere up there on the list. Think about it. Ducks can swim, ducks can fly, and ducks can walk on land. They have access to all terrains. They are the ultimate animal. And they wiggle their butts when they walk, which is funny. Yeah, ducks are awesome. End of story. Bundling and saving with Geico. It's an easy choice.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game. Right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's time for Preds Picks to click.
And the shot of the score.
Do you think you know who will score a goal in tonight's Predators game?
Little give and go.
Shoot your shot for a chance to win Preds tickets. Call Call 615-737-1025 now. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are preferred so often. It's Pick to Click, now on Robby and Rexrode.
It is that time of the day, time for Pred's Pick to Click here on Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. List your home with TJ to get your home seen, heard, and sold. The standings in Pred's Pick to Click. By the way, Pred's in Vancouver tonight. First game of the road trip, taking on the Canucks. Standings in Pred's Pick to Click are as follows. The listeners, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser, all tied atop the standings with 2 correct answers. I have 1, so I am 1 behind all of you. With that in mind, let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Rick. Rick, good morning. Thanks for calling in. Who is your pick to click tonight for the Predators?
Good morning. I want to pick Tommy Novak.
Tommy Novak. Rick, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
So Novak, the selection, off to a good start this season.
Tommy Novak.
He's becoming
Has he been the
pretty
first
popular
pick more often than anybody?
A lot of listeners picking Tommy Novak lately. Hard to blame him.
Yeah.
Novak off the board. Nick Keyser, your pick to click tonight for the Nashville Predators.
All right, he's going back to his homeland, and I think he will score a goal, and he looked really good against them last time. Colton Sissons.
Colton Sissons. Good old British Columbia boy going back to Vancouver tonight. So Novak Sissons off the board. I am up next. I'm torn here, Joe, because on one hand, there's a player that I believe is due to score about 9 goals, and that's Philip Forsberg. And on the other hand, there's a guy playing in his 1,000th NHL game tonight in Ryan O'Reilly. What do? I go O'Reilly. In his 1,000th NHL game, Ryan O'Reilly scores a goal tonight for the Nashville Predators. That means we have left on a silver platter for you.
Yeah,
I mean, choose to take it.
Thanks. I'll take Forsberg. 4th pick, Forsberg.
I mean, he's got 1 goal this year.
Yeah, he'll get more.
I'm sure he will.
I think he'll score some more goals.
I think he will too. O'Reilly, 1,000 games. I talked to him about it this week. Pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, after a nice 2-goal performance against his old buddies.
Yep, scored a couple.
His short-time buddies.
Scored a couple against the Leafs on Saturday, both on the power play. Looks like the power play is getting rolling here for the Predators, so we'll see if they can keep that going tonight against Vancouver. Predators are at 4-4 on the season, and now beginning the road trip tonight. So they'll be back. They're not back home until November the 11th. So a couple weeks now on the road for the Predators tonight, beginning in Vancouver. Joe, your final thoughts on the trade deadline day today in the NFL. We've talked a lot about the possibilities for the Titans. You know, after this day, I mean, this is going to be your team. We'll be focusing on Will Levis and the game on Thursday against Pittsburgh. But really interested to see what the Titans do today, what they don't do today. And the question we threw out there earlier, let's say they get through the day and nothing is done and there's no additional deals that have been made. If you're a Titans fan, how are you feeling about trading away Kevin Byard and then not doing anything else after that, if that's the way things end up going today?
It's a great question. I don't have a great answer. It's weird if that's how it goes. Now, one thing to remember with all this is just because you didn't make a deal today, I mean, if you don't get the return you want, you can't just be like, we're making a deal no matter what, right? So you always, and those are always the things that we often don't know, right? Is exactly the conversation. You don't really know compensation. That doesn't get out unless deals are actually done. So that's something to keep in mind. But it's just such a weird time because you just had this kid play so well and you're like, wow, look at the defense and how he played and this team could do something. But then you're like, but Byard's gone. And then you're like, so don't trade anybody else. Or you're like, no, you have to trade somebody else. Or you're like, what? I don't know. Yeah. You guys tell me. I could see people all over the map on this stuff. It's not simple to me because I think it's fair to criticize the Titans if they only trade Byard and don't do anything else. But also, what if Levis is going to play like this and they're actually going to be a better team for it, and you now weaken your front, which is still the primary source of strength of this football team?
Yep.
Are you mad about that? You can be mad about whatever happens today. You have a license to be mad about it, Titans fans.
You have a license to boo. A lot of discussion about that the last couple of days.
Thank goodness.
Vrabel addressed that
yesterday. We didn't have
yesterday.
one conversation about the booing. Yeah. Yeah, he said
his stance basically was fans can do that if they want, and the players have a responsibility to defend their teammates. Way to go, Vrabel.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
I agree.
Of course, you pay your money to get in there. You're absolutely allowed to boo. How about Jared booing?
I saw that.
Jared booed. Boo! Boo, Mike, boo!
I would have loved to have seen it. What about you? Would you have liked to have seen it?
No. I would have liked to not know it.
Maybe that'll come up on Jared versus Joe tomorrow. Who knows? Wes and Hermitage on the text line says, good morning. Wanted to share something with you fellas. Last Thursday, went to a Halloween party with my 9-year-old daughter dressed up as Vrabel. It was a good time. Anytime anybody used their hands to have a conversation with me, I would lose my mind and tell them to check their hands and calm down. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Wes and Hermitage.
All right, nice. Glad I could help your that's good. That sounds good. Put a picture on there. Put a picture on the text line, Wes.
Yeah. I'm a Mike Vrabel costume. We talked about the Connor Stallions costume. Mike Vrabel costume would be pretty good. Just get you a vest. Be ready to go. Vest and a headset.
Yeah,
be in good shape.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple costume.
Yeah.
What, you got anything going on? What about Allison?
Well, we've gone back and forth. There's a potential for a ghost outfit. She's got a pumpkin one. I don't think a final decision has been made.
Well, I've seen the pumpkin.
It's Halloween.
The pumpkin, yeah. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like at this point, she's going to be cool with whatever.
Correct.
You know, that's the good thing.
That's correct.
In future years, she'll be yelling at you. I like the pumpkin one though. That's a good, it's a cute. Look.
Nice cold night for trick or treating. Do people still do that? Like, does trick or treating still happen? Because in my neighborhood, it doesn't.
Oh, really?
Like, there's nothing really that goes on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go somewhere else, and so we're trying to figure out, do we leave a bowl out? We're going to somebody's house, and actually, like, our daughter's going to be in another neighborhood trick-or-treating with her friends.
Yeah.
Like, do we leave just a bowl of candy and a sign that says, take 3, or do we just leave the house dark?
Leave a bowl. Be good.
Leave a bowl. I think we should, too.
Leave
okay.
A bowl. If you missed any of the show today, check out Robby and Rexrode on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We had Diana Rossini on the show today as well, leading into the NFL trading deadline, so make sure you go check that out. Trade deadline today coming up at 3 p.m. Central Time. So just a few more hours before the NFL trading deadline comes to pass, and we'll see if the Titans have any moves made yet left in their arsenal today. But again, good conversation with Diana Rossini earlier. Enjoyed that.
Derrick Henry, good luck to you in Baltimore.
Talk about a wild show tomorrow if that happens.
That'd
That's going to do it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. Chase and Big Joe is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3, The Game.